pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The October 15th, 2025 meeting of the City Council will now come to order at 6 p.m. May we have roll call, please?
Jessica Ayers. Here. Nick Card.
Here.
Kevin Keating. Here. Mike Kurlinger.
Yep.
John Quinn.
Here.
Zach Smith.
Here.
Kevin Stein.
Here.
And Garrett West.
Here.
We have 8 present.
We have, 7 counselors in the building and 1 disembodied voice from the ether. So, Mr. Field, any city manager reports for us?
All right. Good evening. Rob Field, your city manager, with a quick city manager update on the goings on around the great city of Medford. Okay, fire station open houses. We had a couple that were really well attended. Was able to make it up to Station 16. They had a really strong turnout, and Station 12 did as well. Families got to tour fire equipment, learned how to fire off a fire hose, and just all the way around had a really great time. The reports back from the fire department they were really enthusiastic to be able to get that kind of community engagement in what it is that they do. And I want to thank the councilors who were able to join us at those. And as an aside, fire season is officially over. So, yes. The turf war was really well attended. I don't know how many, it says here over 450 people. It might have been more than that. It was really, really well attended. Great game, especially the first half. It was tied at halftime. Unfortunately, for the police department, the fire department came storming back in the second half and prevailed 4-1. Raised a ton of money, about $16,000 for the White Heart Foundation. And just a great time had by all. Had the pleasure of sitting with Councilor Quinn and Chief Ivins during the game. Chief Ivins was quite buoyant at halftime, less so in the second half. So, Foothill Road, Knife River Materials is completing the paving on down towards South Stage on Foothill this week. Stage 4 will be completed next week, depending on the weather, of course. Project's still on track to be completed in 2026. But just as a cautionary note, it is still an active construction zone, so please be careful as you drive through there. Fall Fest. Continue to make all kinds of really good use of Rogue X. Fall Fest Growers and Crafters Market. This free event is Friday and Saturday. Over 200 local and regional vendors, DIY workshops, food trucks, carved pumpkin contests, all kinds of good stuff. So please come out and support all the vendors and have a good time while doing it. And with that, Mayor, I will turn it back to you.
Thank you, Mr. Field. We'll move on to recognitions and community group reports, starting off with Human Resources Director Bonnie Barish to recognize a couple employee anniversaries and announce the Employee of the Quarter.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, Bonnie Barish, your HR Director, and I have the privilege of recognizing our amazing employees. So for 20 years of service, we're recognizing Janine Ziegler, Police Record Specialist. She could not be here tonight, but please join me in honoring all her years of service. Next anniversary would be Alex Georgievich. He is our city engineer and he has 25 years of service. And I don't know if these people are just shy, but they are not here tonight either. So let's recognize Alex Georgievich. And for our Employee of the Quarter, I would like to introduce our Deputy Chief Financial Officer, Trevor Williams, to do the honors.
Thank you, Bonnie. Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm Trevor Williams, your Deputy CFO, and I have the privilege tonight to introduce our Employee of the Quarter for September 2025, Alan Cochran. Alan is one of 2 senior accountants in the Finance Department and is responsible for a variety of tasks, including daily bank reconciliations, financially closing each month, and producing monthly financial statements. Alan also is highly involved in our annual audit process, drafting our audited financial statements each year, and is heavily involved in the biennial budget as well. Alan has a hand in creating a lot of the documents and information that you see presented to you from Ryan or occasionally me. A lot of that starts with Alan or his counterpart. Alan was nominated for Employee of the Quarter for his outstanding work over the summer, where he was the sole senior accountant in the office due to his counterpart being on paternity leave from May through August of this year. If you're watching Mark and Sarah, congratulations on your twins, who are now already 5 months old. So in addition to Alan's partner being on paternity leave, I decided it was a good idea to take vacation at the end of June and beginning of July, which happens to be fiscal year end and beginning of a new budget process this year. Not quite entirely sure who approved that. So during this entire period, Alan was able to maintain all of the city's critical accounting operations, including the transition between those 2 budget periods. As problems arose, he researched and found solutions to virtually everything that came up, all while handling his already increased daily responsibilities. Alan never simply did his job during this time period. There was never an expectation set that he should work extra hours to cover while we were short-staffed, and yet he did everything he could to ensure nothing fell behind, including staying late and coming in on scheduled days off, despite repeated statements from his boss that he did not have to do that. Alan went above and beyond and showed outstanding initiative in coordinating his workload, seeking guidance on priorities, and keeping the accounting team's daily, weekly, monthly, and annual processes all on track. He was honest with those that asked him questions or made requests of him, that he was incredibly busy, but he would respond to them as soon as he was able, and he made sure to prioritize the most critical needs while not letting anything slip through the cracks. One of the ways that Alan was able to juggle all of these responsibilities was excellent planning and preparation on his part by leveraging emerging technology in a way that we had not previously done so in the finance department. When he found out that his fellow senior accountant was going to be on leave several months into the future, Alan began to map out all of the daily things that they took care of and sought ways to make things better and more efficient. The most glowing example that I can give of this is how Alan used the city's AI chatbot to drastically improve our daily bank reconciliation process. He developed incredibly advanced spreadsheets that automatically take multiple files, manipulate them in multiple ways, and create one unified reconciliation and import file, saving at least an hour every single day. Alan is not a programmer, but he is a really strong Excel user, and he used that knowledge, along with his knowledge of the city's business processes, worked with the AI chatbot, and wrote really, really complicated programming formulas to make all of that accounting magic happen behind the scenes. I'm convinced that it was strategic thinking like this that made Alan so successful during the time that he was acting as the only senior accountant. I could continue to go on and say what an asset Alan is to the city and how valuable his contributions are in so many areas, but I will close by simply thanking Alan for his incredible work, both during the 3.5 years that I've had the privilege to work with him, and especially over this summer where he was the only senior accountant. Please join me in congratulating the Employee of the Quarter, Alan Cochran.
Congratulations, Alan. And that will conclude our employee recognition.
All right, well, thank you, Bonnie, and congratulations to all of our outstanding employees recognized tonight. Moving on to other actual community partner updates, starting with Medford Water.
Good evening. Brad Taylor, General Manager of Medford Water. Thank you for having me here to give you a brief update, council update. Starting with just a thank you to Commissioner Quinn and Commissioner West, who came to our open house for ribbon cutting at the Duff water treatment plant that we had October 1st. So it was nice to have you both out and share in that special event for us and our community in terms of meeting that milestone. This project increased the capacity of our drinking water treatment plant from 45 million gallons a day to 65 million gallons a day. In addition to upgrading the treatment processes of the plant, it also added an additional 3 million gallons of storage at the plant, which helps us facilitate water out into the system and helps during events that we had here in the last month around events that take the water treatment plant potentially out of service. So storage is an important part of a water system. So adding more storage is always valuable. That project was a $78 million project. And in addition to that, that project needed the ability to get that water out from the water treatment plant out into the system. So it included a project of putting a 42-inch transmission line down Table Rock Road, which you might have noticed during the construction of that event. And that project was a $30 million project. So again, these are big projects for Medford Water to accomplish and to execute and to bring them in on budget and on time. So we were proud of them, and we were proud to celebrate them with our community on October 1st. Just real quickly, I wanted to remind Council that we do have two sources of supply. Both of those sources are valuable to our community, especially if one experiences an outage. So we get water from both the Big Butte Springs, which comes off the shoulders of Mount McLaughlin, and also directly out of the Rogue River. Big Butte Springs provides us around 26 million gallons of water per day. Drought conditions in the last few summers have created the condition where we're not able to get the full 26 MGD out of the springs, although this last year we were. Which is fortunate. We've just expanded the Duff water treatment plant to 65 MGD, which brings our total capacity to 91 million gallons per day. So this number has redundancy built into it. So typically over the last 10 years, we've experienced a maximum daily demand of between 53 and 62 MGD. So you can see the overlap of redundancy as it relates to just the general day-to-day demand. And this is important. This makes our system more resilient when we do have outage events. Also, just remind you and the audience that Medford Water provides water not just to the city of Medford. We provide water to Eagle Point, White City, Jacksonville, Central Point, Phoenix, and Talent, and we have an emergency connection with Ashland. So this expansion project and the transmission project benefits not only the citizens of Medford, it benefits the region in terms of meeting the demand for growth and reliability. And I'll end with just a little bit of eye candy, which eye candy never hurts. So this is what Commissioner Quinn and Commissioner West got to see in person. But just a few pictures here from the new pumping facility, new filters, the filter gallery. These large tanks on the left are connected into the finished water pump station. They're surge tanks that allows us to pump large volumes of water from the treatment plant and be prepared for back surges if you were to have equipment failure or an event that caused pumps to stop running. And then of course the new and improved electrical equipment, electrical room. All right, so in closing, I just I want to extend an open invitation to all counselors, either individually or a group. If you have an interest in seeing any of our facilities, anything under construction or facilities we've had, again, I want to open that invitation. You're always welcome to reach out and get connected, and we will provide anybody a tour that wants to see more. And we take pride in doing that. It's fun to get to show the hard work that we're doing to serve the community. And then also, we have 2 study sessions coming up in November with our board around our annual rate-making process. Those are November 5th and November 19th. The tentative start time of those is 11:30. We'll have the website will post the agenda as it gets closer, but I'd also just want to invite counselors or anyone that has an interest in learning more about the mechanics of what goes into that to participate in those 2 upcoming events. And so with that, that concludes my remarks.
Questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Continuum of Care report. Would you come on down and introduce yourself? And
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Noah Wertheiser. I am the support services, thank you, the support services project manager for Access, but I'm here in my capacity as staff for the Jackson County COC, or the Continuum of Care. I'll give you a little bit of information, and I'd love to answer any questions that you have. What is Continuum of Care? It is a federally mandated body of organizations, individuals, nonprofits, people with lived experience, lots of different invested groups who would like to solve the numerous problems of homelessness in a collective way. It is led by Access, which is the lead agency of the organization. The COC is not a nonprofit itself. It doesn't deliver any services directly, and so it's required to have a fiscal sponsor, a lead agency, which is Access. There are 34 additional partners, the city of Medford being one of them. The city of Medford actually has a seat on the board, filled at the moment by Debbie Grady, Deputy City Manager. The core functions of the COC are regional planning, coordinated entry, and data system performance and evaluation. One of the most important ones, one of the core ones, is a coordinated entry process. Coordinated entry replaces siloed wait lists for services and replaces it with a far more collaborative, coordinated, tailored wait list and resource navigation for individuals presenting for services, individuals experiencing homelessness in particular. At the moment, Access and the COC employs a full-time dedicated coordinated entry staff. We conduct case conferencing, which is when we all get together and say, this person's presented, what kinds of service can we best provide for them? We build policies and procedures around this to best unify the community. And despite launching our current coordinated entry system only in January, we've already seen tremendous success with 2 very big programs, the Oregon Rehousing Initiative and the Long-Term Rental Assistance Program. Data planning is very close to my nerdy heart. Homeless Management Information System, HMIS, is one of the biggest and best tools that we have for collecting and reporting data. It is for, we want to be able to say how well we've done what we're doing. And the only way to do that is by data collection and reporting. The data is shared securely with HUD, with the state of Oregon, with other government entities, with other nonprofits and community partners in a de-identified way. It's very secure, and there are 14 active organizations that deliver services right now that are part of the Jackson County HMIS system. And then regional planning and collaboration. This is community-wide planning. So the first, the strategic plan, the 25-27, the biennium strategic plan was just conducted over the summer, as well as the annual gaps analysis where we say what resources we have and where we fell short and what we still need. And then all of those are implemented by our 7 different work groups. Like I said, City of Medford is a huge supporter, and we really appreciate everything that the City of Medford does in particular. Can I answer any questions?
Thank you. Any questions, Kevin?
Can you go back like 3 slides?
Sure. This guy?
One more.
Yes.
Okay, go forward again. There we go. Okay.
Yeah.
What is this? So you talked about what is the difference between coordinated entry and HMS?
Yeah, so
So we have
coordinated
2
entry-
different systems now.
It is 2 different systems. So HMIS is the data collection and reporting, and we utilize the HMIS to help inform coordinated entry. So it's where the list lives, but it is not itself the system. The system is more a collective of organizations that do the work, and HMIS, WellSky, which is our system, actually collects all the data for us to be able to make the decisions based on. Does that help? Does that answer your question? It's okay. It's just the data collection system. The coordinated entry system is much bigger. It's more like the collaborative, the work that happens to coordinate people to different services. You don't just enter somebody into HMIS and then it spits out a name of an organization to pass them off to. It's more like a wraparound system.
So we used to call it the by name list. Is that what you're talking about?
Very similar, yes.
Okay, so the by name list was the list of all the people that might need assistance, and then we have these meetings because I used to work at Access.
Yeah,
So
okay.
we'd have the meetings, and we would go by the by name list and be like, hey, have you found this person? Like,
Yes.
oh, they're living over here or they're staying over here. Like, okay, well, our program has a place for them if we can contact them. So that's
Yes.
what you're talking about.
That is what I'm talking about. The
Okay.
coordinated entry system, in quotes, is what HUD calls it. So as we're
Okay.
required to utilize their language for it. But yes, it is. It is the by name system. Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Well, how is this being funded? So I know, 10 years ago, 8 years ago, this really didn't kind of exist in any form, the continuum of care. And then it was like something the city kind of tried to put together, and our city manager at the time headed it. And
Yeah.
we are. So how is this existing today?
It's gone through multiple different iterations. This one, this in particular, is certainly the best organized, I believe, and it really kicked off about 3 years ago in July, and where the board reformed, we wrote the charter and put everything together. The way that it's funded currently is from a number of different ways. The first is through the HUD collaborative application, where we get money directly from HUD to do COC activities, including HMIS or coordinated entry, et cetera. That application also funds individual programs that are funneled through the COC. So the COC, like I said, doesn't operate the services; it just passes it on.
Yeah.
And then the other main method of funding is through the state. So the state will pass along through the executive order, for example. There were a number of programs and initiatives that the COC then took a portion of the funds for administration and utilized that to help the coordination of those programs.
All right, there we go. Now I understand. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Kevin?
Hey, thank you for your
Brother
presentation.
Kevin,
Appreciate
please.
it. Can you just explain to a lay person, I guess, you mentioned a lot about accountability and the data, the HMIS. What have we gotten? Can you tell me your successes and maybe some of the challenges or what exposure you've found since coming into operation?
Yeah, absolutely. First, the number of partners, services are better operated out of silos. So that's the first success. It's more narrative because we know that the number of organizations delivering these services collaborating with each other, it's going to help people better and more of them. So that's the first. The second is actual numbers. We have increased, despite having a dramatic increase, the number of individuals experiencing all different forms of homelessness. We've also seen a requisite increase in services. For example, we had goals that were given to us by the state of Oregon for rapid rehousing, and within Jackson County, we, for want of a better term, we smashed the goals. We just did way better than expected for rapid rehousing, for eviction prevention, and for sheltering. And I think, for example, the The rapid rehousing goal was 170, and I think we made it up to 217 households. The Oregon Rehousing Initiative, the goal was 50, and I think we were upwards around 70, give or take. If you'd like, I'm happy to put together more numbers and send me
No,
one.
I was just looking for some numbers like that. So I
Yeah,
appreciate
absolutely.
It.
Thank you.
So you did make a note that there was a gap analysis, I think, completed recently. What stands out in that document?
Perhaps the gaps analysis conducted missed a lot of things. One of the things that it did point out, however, is the need for better collaboration in our PIT count, our point in time count. So one of the most notable numbers that you'll get whenever you do a search about homelessness is you'll get numbers from the PIT count, the point in time count, which is a measurement of one night where people say, count the number of individuals that they witness that are experiencing homelessness. The toughest part about that is that you can only count the people that you can find, and so that disproportionately counts the number of people that are perhaps on the Greenway experiencing homelessness in a tent, but undercounts the families with minor children who are experiencing homelessness maybe in a hotel, right? And so the biggest gap is our ability to count that, and that's not a localized, unique problem. That's a problem nationwide, but it is the biggest. So that's probably the best one that I can come up with.
Right. Other questions?
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Let's see. Then we also have Asante, Dr. Scott Wilbur, I believe. I apologize. I do not have my glasses, so if that's an H or an N, I cannot be held responsible at this point. Yeah, send those down.
So thank you, Mayor and City Council members, for inviting Asante to speak today. My name is Scott Wilbur. I'm the new Chief Medical Officer for Asante Physician Partners, which is Asante's medical practice for physicians and advanced practice providers. This includes nurse practitioners and physician associates. I'm an emergency physician by training and have 20 years of experience in a large academic community hospital training residents, medical students, and advanced practice providers. I also have many years of experience in recruiting, developing, and retaining physicians in both private practice and health system employed models. We wanted to briefly discuss two topics today, and that is recruitment of physicians to the Rogue Valley and medical education. From a recruitment standpoint, Asante has had its best year ever recruiting physicians and advanced practice providers to Southern Oregon. This year, we've been involved in the recruitment of nearly 80 providers. 62 of these are Asante physicians and advanced practice providers, and nearly 1/4 of these are primary care and behavioral health providers, which are greatly needed in our community. This has also allowed us to expand practice locations from 25 to 28 locations in Jackson and Josephine County, and to expand primary care across the region. However, we recognize that there are ongoing challenges in recruitment nationally and locally, and it's projected that the U.S. could face a shortage of 86,000 physicians by 2036. Rural areas are more difficult to recruit to compared to larger urban areas, and local factors such as practice size and type of practice may affect the ability to recruit providers, even if there's an adequate supply nationally. From a medical education standpoint, Asante is committed to medical education and workforce development. We have long supported the training of medical students, physician associate, nurse practitioner students, and in addition, we've provided training locations for nursing students and allied health students, including radiography techs, phlebotomy techs, lab techs, and many others from local and regional schools. We support graduate medical education of residents by hosting surgical residents from the Oregon Health Sciences University at Asante Three Rivers Medical Center, and residents from Sky Lakes in various rotations at Asante Rogue Regional Medical Center. We believe that it's important for us to expand our education of medical students by bringing 3rd and 4th year students to do their core and elective rotations at Asante and other facilities in Jackson and Josephine County. We are actively pursuing an agreement with Western University of Health Sciences in Lebanon, Oregon, which would place a cohort of 3rd and 4th year students in Southern Oregon. And we've had similar discussions with OHSU to do the same. Finally, we are exploring options to modernize and update the Asante Center for Medical Education to provide state-of-the-art educational and simulation facilities for student training as well as workforce development for the region. Again, thanks for your interest in this topic and your support of the region's healthcare workforce.
Questions? Yes.
Are you a member of SOAP?
We have participated in SOAP, but we recruit independent of SOAP. We recruit basically for our practices and affiliated practices with Asante.
I guess kind of tagging on to the recruitment question, this being one of your better years, what do you attribute that to?
I think we've changed our approach to recruitment a little bit. We bring people to multiple practice sites within the valley and try to get them to pick a site that fits with them. All of our practice sites are a little bit different in terms of the mix of providers that are there, the location, even the layout of the site. And so we want people to find some place they feel comfortable. We're very quick to respond to candidates, and so when they reach out to us, we respond to them quickly. We interview them remotely usually, and if we decide to bring them out, we try to get them an offer within a business day. So if we think they're a good candidate, we don't want to let them continue to interview and look other places. We want them to get a letter of intent from us. So I think those are two reasons we've had a better year this year.
I was just assuming it was the new mayor, but.
It could be the new mayor. Or the new chief medical officer.
Or the new chief. Yeah, maybe that has more to do with it. Other questions? Appreciate you coming down and sharing that information. Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
I got to be honest with the crowd. Somehow I knew it wasn't the new mayor, but thought I would ask. Agenda item 40 is oral requests and communications, and this is where we set aside 30 minutes for in-person public comments. The comments are limited to 2 minutes per person or organization, and as outlined in the agenda, the public may also submit written comments to the council. However, there were no written comments received for tonight's meeting. But before hearing public comments, I'd like to note the decorum policy for the council chambers. The use of noisemakers or disruptive audience behavior such as applause, cheering, or shouting is not permitted. Decorum violations are time-consuming and disrespectful to the speaker and all attendees. Failure to follow the basic standards for decorum may result in removal from the meeting. And finally, I would like to emphasize that this is your opportunity to provide comments to the council and is not intended to be a time for questions and answers. If you have completed a public comment form, please come to the front of the room when your name is called. The time is 6:32. Winnie, has anyone completed a public comment form?
Yes, Your Honor, we have two submissions, one from Annie Jenkins and one from Mona McCardle.
All right, Annie.
That's decorum violation.
I thought Mike was watching baseball. Sounds fair.
Would you like me to remove his phone from his person prior to your speaking?
No, because I got mine right here too. And that wouldn't be very fair.
Fair enough.
As a teacher, this is horrible.
Annie Jenkins from Downtown Medford Association. I just want to say we have Third Friday this Friday night, but we also, with that, we have Restaurant Week called Forks and Friends. Very thrilled about this. It's going really well. So far, we have 22 restaurants that are involved, anywhere from cava empanadas with free pumpkin empanadas, with purchase of or baked 6 frozen empanadas. So I really encourage you to get down there and try it. We've got Old Spaghetti Factories involved, the Copper Planks involved, and they're doing multiple things and events throughout the week, as well as always pizza. Gypsy Blues Bars is doing something different every single night. Buttercloud is offering 3 different specials all week long. And I think that there's also Beatrice is offering a girl dinner. So maybe you can send your spouses out, or Jessica, you can go out. We've got Solid Ground involved, and we've got Hen and Flour is also doing their fried chicken special rollout today, or on Friday night, and they will be having the Fizz Fix truck serve some soda drinks as well. So encourage you guys to get out and enjoy. There's Bales and Ales at Common Block on Saturday night. So please get out, enjoy. Restaurants would love to see you. This is a great time of year that they could use a little boost in their business as they go into the quiet season. So that's all I have for you tonight.
Well, I appreciate that. And just for clarification, third Friday this Friday,
Third Friday this Friday.
and Forks and Friends?
Forks and Friends kicks off on Friday, and it will go through Thursday, ending with the farmer's market.
Friday through next Thursday?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Perfect, thanks.
Was it Mona was next? Oh, there we go. Yep. Well, thank you so much.
No, I'm wordy. I'm Mona McCardle. I'm a physician at Valley Immediate Care, but I'm here as a member of SOAP, the Southern Oregon Alliance of Physicians and Providers, and want to basically say thank you all to your support for the health of the community in general and for your support of SOAP. We have continued to make efforts into recruiting. I'm thrilled to hear that Asante has been so successful this year, and we're certainly welcome them in our organization to be more involved, and we want to keep all 82 in our region, even if for some reason they don't stay with Asante for the entire time. We need those physicians here in our community to stay in our community and make roots. And you guys have supported so much about forward thinking on what we need to do for the next 20, 30, 50 years to make this a vibrant medical economy and vibrant economy itself. And I do believe, and I think you all know, that medicine is going to be a significant part of that as we all age. Your forward thinking in looking at medical school, medical education, and even graduate medical education is really appreciated, and I want to offer the support of some of us to encourage to continue to do that. Graduate medical education is residencies after medical school, and that's where the physicians continue the training. 70% of physicians who stay in the area where they do their residencies. So although I'd love to have a medical school and still want to keep moving forward and exploring that, because if we don't shoot for the moon, we're never going to get there. But I also want to encourage us to support and encourage our hospital systems and our other FQHCs to develop a residency program, because that's what grows our docs here and keeps them here afterwards. They set down roots. Looks like my time is up. We have made some strides, so thank you for your support.
All right, thank you. Did we have one more? Sir? Well, I guess maybe
Sorry.
we'll do it officially.
Apparently our pens are really bad over at the sign-in desk, and so I'm not sure exactly. It looks like it's Leonard Berry, but it could be a combination of... No, it's not your fault.
Sorry about that. My name is Kennard Burrell. I am a resident of Medford. I'm a veteran in the U.S. Air Force, and I'm 65 years old in December. I've come here about an issue that I think is dear to us all, I hope, and I live at 205 North Holly Street. I here to talk about the drug problem over there. I used to be an addict. In fact, I've been off of it now for 15 years, and I see a problem there, and I've seen it now for the last year, and it's growing. At 220 North Ivy Street, there's two apartments there. One's number 3 and the other one's straight across from it, where there's constant activity at night and in daytime. These people come from all areas, and most of them I would gather are homeless, but not all of them probably, but they probably will be. And there's children there in the area, and I'm an older person. My wife doesn't feel safe in her home anymore, and she can't walk the dog anymore because she has runs in with these guys and these women. There's a lot of noise at night, so it's hard to rest. There's a lot of activity with cars and people going back and forth all times of day and night. There's other neighbors that will vouch for this, but they're not doesn't have the courage maybe that I have to come here and do this. And I just see a growing problem that's going to get probably worse. We've had people that have been peeping in our windows before. They've stolen maintenance men's tools while they were trying to work on the apartment or whatever. And, my wife's afraid. Me, I'm not necessarily afraid, but I am a previous addict recovering. So it's harder and harder all the time to stay clean when I see this on a regular basis. The neighbors are too afraid to talk to them or say anything about it. I'm probably one of the only ones that do. And I just get shined off by them, and instead of causing a scene or a violent episode, I just walk away. They have these large dogs that they carry with them because I don't know why, but they're homeless, but they carry these large dogs, pit bulls and so forth, that are half the time not on a leash. And my wife can't work in the front yard because she's worried about one coming across the way. I mean, they're right in front of our door doing bubbles and shooting up and all of this stuff. I've got pictures on my phone where, there's been groups, 6 or 7 of them grouped up in one place. And there's one guy living in his truck right there, seems to be the ringleader, that's bringing it all, just encouraging it. So I don't know what you guys can do. I've called the cops many times. The officers come, they always do. They're good about it, and I understand what they go through. I was a police officer in the Air Force, a security policeman, so I understand. I was in the Philippines, and that's the worst place than this will ever be, but I understand what they go through. I've never believed in defunding anything. I'm not one of those, and to do something like that is to set us up, I think, for our country to be taken like it's trying to be taken right now, or destroyed. And so, that's all
Mr. Burrell,
really
I
have
think,
to say.
very well said, and we appreciate you coming down, and we certainly have all your information. So,
Yes, sir.
thank you very much for bringing that to our attention.
Thank you.
I would just say that it looks like Mr. Deputy Chief Arnold will happy to discuss with you further information.
Okay. Thank
All right.
you.
Thank you. Anyone else that maybe didn't fill out a comment card that would like to speak? If not, we will move on to approval and corrections of the October 1st, 2025 meeting minutes, which we've all received a copy of. Does anyone have any revisions or corrections to those minutes? Seeing none, we'll do a slight pause so Garrett West, in case he's caught something.
I have no edits. Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah, no problem. Seeing none, the minutes will stand as submitted. We do not have a consent calendar tonight, so let's roll into ordinances and resolutions, perhaps 80.1.
Thank you, Your Honor. Item 80.1 is Council Bill 2025-86, a resolution directing staff to formally begin the Economic Improvement District formation process with the Downtown Medford Association.
Great. This is step 1 of 3. However, does anyone have any questions, need a staff report, or prepared for a motion? Mr. Stein?
Staff report, please.
Mayor and Council, Eric Mitten, your city attorney, and I'm here to talk about step 1 of 3 of the Economic Improvement District process. And those 3 steps don't include the CCIF grants that Council's already been through to financially stand up the initial process with the feasibility study and such. But just to cover what we're dealing with here. This is governed by both state law, and then we have local ordinances that basically fill in the gaps in state law, which is a large overall framework. And so this first step is a resolution formally initiating the process. And it includes findings in the resolution of a public benefit of the establishment of an EID, and also a preliminary plan, which is more of a concept of a plan than an actual plan. The full plan would come at the second step, which is the ordinance, where we would have a final plan with all the details hammered out and covered. And then the third step, after the ordinance is done and council approves the ordinance, then notices are sent out to all affected property owners, and there will be a public hearing. Written responses in opposition from 33% of the property owners is effectively a veto on the project, so it needs 68%, if my numbers are right. Ryan Martin probably is making sure my numbers are wrong, but so it needs 68% support in order to pass. And there is a public hearing so that everyone involved can also speak to council if they wish to do so. And so after that public hearing, there would be a third step, an additional resolution where council has a final go or no-go decision after hearing the public comment. Even if there's not 33% opposition, if council hears some opposition where council's like, I want to take the foot off the gas, it does have an opportunity to do so at that third step. So the
Mr. Curlinger, do you have a question?
Yeah, sorry, just before we get too deep into other details, and I'm not intending to be smart aleck, but there's a difference between 33% veto versus 67% approval. So if 20% veto and 80% are silent,
that is not a veto. So we count the no votes, we don't count the yes votes.
Copy.
It's not glib, that's a very good question. So the area we're talking about is shown here on the map. It's 2 blocks wide north and south, somewhat the width of downtown. And then the proposed budget in terms of generally what the DMA would be looking to do with the money is here. Beautification and activation and development of the area are the highest level. There are some other expenses involved here as well, including 2% to cover the costs of collection. It's actually city staff who would be in charge of collecting. We administer the day-to-days of it, whereas DMA is the one moving to activate it. And then in terms of how it would work, the initial draft plan, which was also included in the feasibility study, mentioned 10%. I believe is it square foot or per square yard? Per square foot of parcel size. I do have Annie Jenkins here to answer any hard questions about how this works. And then not included in the written plan, but is something that will be included in the final plan that DMA is doing, is a second tier, a lower rate for nonprofits. These don't last forever. How it works under state law is it lasts for 3 years, and then you get 1 3-year extension if you want to. After that, if council wishes to start up a new EID, it can, but we need to restart the entire process in terms of the 3-step ordinance resolution process. We can't just continue to renew indefinitely. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions council has.
Mr. Curlinger?
Not that any of us are going to remember this 6 years from now, but if we do a 3-year establishment and then there's a 3-year renewal and we think, hey, this is going great, we want to keep it going, 3 or 6 months prior to the expiration of the extension, can you start the conversation and process for establishing the new EID, or do you need to let it completely end, have a gap, and then start a fresh one?
I'm unaware of anything that would prevent us from starting the process beforehand, and I won't remember either, but that's what Outlook reminders are for.
I'll ask again if I'm still here in 6 years.
Yes.
Mr. Stein?
And so if it goes through as we're talking about and there's sufficient support or not support, it stays at it as it is. If someone wanted to come in, I mean, I guess they could just pay dues and be part of it if they just wanted to out of the kindness of their heart. But you couldn't mandate anyone else comes in without another full election of new parcels.
So my understanding is that DMA is looking into a voluntary opt-in process outside of that boundary.
Yeah.
But we couldn't force the boundary larger without restarting this whole process. That's correct.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Any other questions or ready for a motion? Mr. Stein.
I move to approve Council Bill 2025, TAC 86.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Stein, second by Mr. Card. Discussion, Mr. Stein?
No, I think I've talked about this since the last time we went through this process, which was 11 years ago. So that was an interesting time. But this time, I think we can be successful. So I'm happy with all the work that got put in over the little years of things. This has been a council discussion as well, with having, DMA come forward and establish the boundaries and actually, see how we're going to do. So we're going to hear from this at least 2 more times, it sounds like. So I can't wait till the next time.
Yes, Ms. Jessica.
I just want to thank Annie and DMA for their hard work on this, because I know they've really been pounding the pavement trying to get this going.
Great. Anyone else? When will you call Mr. Card?
Just going to say, thank God we're here. I'm so excited to be here to vote on an EID. Let's do it.
All right. Winnie, will you call the roll?
Kevin Stein,
Yes.
Nick Card.
Yes.
Kevin Keating,
Yes.
Garrett West,
Yes.
Zach Smith,
Yes.
Jessica Ayers,
Yes.
Mike Curlinger,
Yes.
and John Quinn.
Yes.
We have 8 yes.
All right. That passes. 80.2. Eric?
Sorry, right there with you, Mayor.
You know
All
what?
right.
Well done on that 8-no agenda item.
I was just savoring
Buddy,
the
we gotta-
victory,
we
Mayor.
gotta
All right,
stay in it.
80.2 is Council Bill 2025-87. An ordinance approving and authorizing execution of a master lease agreement and all the necessary agreements and addendums with Enterprise FM Trust for Fleet Management Services.
All right. Staff report? Anyone ready for a motion? Staff report, please.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Ryan Martin, your CFO. Tonight I'll be presenting and providing information on the Enterprise, if I can talk, fleet management contract. So tonight we're asking for council consideration of authorizing the city manager to sign the master lease agreement and I think 167 addendums and other agreements. Actually, there's 11 with Enterprise Fleet Management Services. There were a few questions asked by Councilor West prior to the meeting that he would like to see included in the staff report, so I have included those questions. The first one was, can we please get some graphics and charts? I think I embellished it by maybe 6 letters in there of S's and E's. Explain some of the intangible benefits and also will the budget need to be changed. So those are all included in this presentation, and if you can find them, you get 20 bonus points. Just a quick summary of the city's fleet outside of police, fire, and heavy equipment in public works. We have 73 vehicles. Out of those vehicles, the city spends about $400,000 per year on fuel and $900,000 on maintenance. The vehicles range from a few months old to over 30 years old. Quick summary of Enterprise and how working with them would benefit the city. First of all, there's a cost efficiency. They're very good at buying vehicles. They're very good at selling vehicles and knowing when to purchase new vehicles and when to dispose of vehicles as well. Enhances our asset utilization with newer vehicles. 30-year-old parks truck compared to a new one could turn 5 trips into 3 of having to haul different materials. It improves our maintenance and safety quite substantially, which I'll go into a little bit more detail in just a little bit. Provides advanced data analytics, which I absolutely love, will allow us to see how we're utilizing our fleet, what the exact maintenance costs are, what the fuel costs are, and how we're turning over the vehicles to get the best bang for our buck. And also allows scalability if we want to get more vehicles, if we want to have less vehicles, flexibility if some vehicles just aren't doing as well, if the maintenance costs are higher, if we want to go from Ford or Chevy to smart cars or something like that, we have that availability. Some of the intangible benefits are vehicle safety. Just as an example, in 2025, we've had 28 different accidents with city vehicles, ranging from just a scratch to possible deputy chief of police getting T-boned in an intersection, things like that. Operational, and he is here tonight, operational transparency, so we can easily see any details we want about the vehicles, less time out of service, and staff satisfaction as well. Just a quick summary about the contract. It is $2.8 million over 5 years. That's just for the leasing of the vehicles, where we would normally spend $2.9 million. So that's what we would estimate to spend if we were not utilizing Enterprise's services. As I mentioned, it includes 11 agreements and different addendums. These were reviewed thoroughly by the legal staff and the finance staff. I think we had probably 8 to 10 meetings to discuss and go through all the documents, work with Enterprise to finalize this contract. And this, as I mentioned, this ordinance authorizes the city manager to sign all the agreements that are necessary. Now, for the color and charts that Councilmember West asked for, which I do appreciate, this is the by department cost for Enterprise versus what we would do otherwise. And so the blue is the 5-year estimated Enterprise cost. The reddish color is the 5-year estimated city cost if we weren't to utilize their services. So you'll see 3 outliers here. The first one is parks maintenance and facilities, where you can see the costs are drastically higher than they would have been if we were just to basically do this ourselves. And that's because parks does not traditionally upgrade vehicles very often. So we do have higher maintenance costs and fuel costs, but we don't have as high costs for actual new vehicles. And I'll show that in the next slide. Public Works, on the opposite side, replaces their vehicles more often, and so we can see a significant amount of savings here. Now, typically over a 5-year period, this all evens out with the cost because we are getting better deals from Enterprise than we would have otherwise. As I mentioned, with Parks and Recreation, and this was a question by Councilmember Kurlinger, of just trying to figure out the math of it, because we are spending more money on the actual vehicles over a 5-year period of time. However, we are saving on maintenance and fuel costs. So as you can see here, which I think the legend might be, there was no legend on this one. So the normal maintenance, for example, in Parks and Recreation, about $800,000 over a 5-year period of time. But with Enterprise and newer vehicles, we can estimate that to be closer to $500,000. With fuel costs, they are a little under $400,000 over a 5-year period, and we can estimate those will be cut in half. So as we put all this together, it'll be an increased cost for Parks and Recreation of about $200,000 over 5 years, so $40,000 per year. And then for facilities, it would be about $175,000 over 5 years. So overall, there will be a little bit of an impact, which I think is on the slide after this one. But I just want to go over quickly how Enterprise is paid. They're very transparent about their pricing. It's very clear on the vehicle, the various costs of the vehicle. So it's a $60 per vehicle upfront fee, $400 when the vehicle's sold, $300 for delivery. And then there's the monthly lease charge, which is essentially the interest on the lease. And there's no markup. They just make money because they're the actual ones financing it. They're not going through a bank. There are a couple additional costs. Number one is a lease management software of $10,000 per year. This is outside of Enterprise. The city has to abide by different financial standards. One of them is the Governmental Accounting Standards Board, or GASB. Won't go into a ton of detail, you're welcome, but basically one of the latest pronouncements, GASB 87, that came out a few years ago, requires us to record leases on our balance sheet, which is a lot of work trying to figure it out, and this will save a substantial amount of time and ensure that we're accurate. And then also, there would be a budget increase to Parks and Recreation and Facilities of about $150,000 for this biennium. As I mentioned, it'll even out over time, but in the interim, we are seeing some additional costs. This would come from contingency in the general fund and our park utility fund as well. Happy to answer any questions or have a potential motion here.
All right, thank you. Questions, Mr. Curlinger?
I got two. I've shopped for cars online, and my delivery fee was going to be like anywhere from $1,000 to $2,000. Why are we being charged a fee when the vehicle is sold versus Enterprise just charging a delivery fee to the buyer? Well, that would happen because that's what the paperwork says. Did anybody go, hey guys, how about the buyer pays for delivery and not us?
I don't know that there always will be a fee because they sometimes just sell the vehicles at lots afterwards, or maybe they're turned into rental cars. I don't know. I guess I don't have a greater answer than that for that.
Okay. I believe you.
I don't know if I believe myself.
But based on, I mean, I understand the purpose behind this and it makes sense, but it's a $205,000 increase over the next 5 years to parks,
Mm-hmm.
and a $175,000 increase over the next 5 years to public works.
Facilities.
To public facilities, sorry. But then at one point, one of your things said it'll cost us 1.8 over the next, or 2.8 over the next 5 years, when normally we estimate the city would have spent 2.9. So
Yes.
that's like incongruous.
Yeah, if you take all these together on this slide, that'd be correct. So Public Works, for example, has a substantial amount of savings because they're not going to be upgrading vehicles in the near future. So overall, there will be a savings of about $100,000 over 5 years, but also that does not take into account the fuel and maintenance savings as well, which I gave an example of just for parks.
5 years. So the Parks and Rec one, can you go, you had one slide that said we'd spend 2.8 million. It wasn't one of Garrett's fancy charts. There we go. So contracts is going to cost us 2.8 over 5 years. Normally we'd spend 2.9 without the management. But then the Parks and Rec estimate and the facilities estimate are both, this will cost us an extra 205 or 175. Like, I'm confused because those are like, hey, this is costing us a little extra, but it's well worth it because it's extra safe and it'll be better for the employees and we get better data. But then this says we're actually saving $100,000.
Yeah, so that's because so the parks and facilities costs, if you just say that for the vehicle, so Enterprise purchasing them versus us purchasing them, it's far more than the $205,000 and $175,000. So if I go to this slide, so if you look at the bottom there, the 5-year costs. For Enterprise vehicles is over $1 million. If we looked at our 5-year average with parks, it's only about $400,000. So it's a large increase. Where we save the money, though, is with the fuel and the maintenance. And so that's where you get to kind of that net number of the $205,000. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but your note said, sorry, I don't think anybody's bearing numbers. I believe it makes sense, but this says that our total 5-year cost increases by $205,000.
Which is the net increase. So if you take the maintenance, the fuel, and the cost of the vehicles for just Parks and Recreation, that's where you get to the $205,000.
Mm-hmm.
So you're paying more for the actual vehicles, and then you're subtracting basically your savings from fuel and savings from maintenance, and that's where you get to the $205,000.
Okay, so if we have some old Parks and Rec truck and, every day it's a 90s truck and they're playing Shania Twain's Every Day is a Winding Road on cassette, and now their vehicle is getting taken away, and they have to deal with, not having a cassette player anymore, what is happening to that vehicle? Where does that vehicle go?
So it's disposed of via an auction, or Enterprise is able to sell it separately.
So are we giving it to Enterprise to sell for us, or are we putting on some sort of auction thing? I don't know how we dispose of vehicles.
So but Enterprise manages that process for us, and that's why they charge for the sale of the vehicle. We receive the money for it.
Okay.
But they are the ones that sell it for us.
So if they sell that truck for, $1,200 or whatever,
if we're lucky, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, some people might be out there looking for a cassette player and a truck.
Never know.
Obviously, there's a ton of information and a ton of stuff that you put in. So I'm just gonna ask as the financial person. Obviously, this is a policy decision to go in this way, but this makes financial sense to do. I mean, what's the insurance like? Or are we just getting the insurance through Enterprise? If we start wrecking a bunch of vehicles, are they gonna, juice up our insurance rates? How does that work?
So we're self-insured right now for vehicles. So it won't affect our insurance unless vehicles are being wrecked and then we're having to replace them.
And they're newer vehicles, so they're going to cost more on our insurance or on our self-insurance.
For replacements, it would, yes. And we don't have a lot of replacements. A lot of them, as I mentioned, they vary from scratches or backing up into, like skimming kind of a pole or something like that. But yes, if we had to replace vehicle, it'd absolutely be more.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Mr. King.
I think I saw something on the slide, Ryan, about interest costs. We're going to be paying interest on vehicles at all?
Technically, through the lease, they're financing it for us, so there is interest, yes, and it's based on the vehicle cost.
Well, is it a variable rate, and what is the rate?
It's a rate that it's based on something that I'm forgetting, but I think it's on the sample they gave us, it was like 3.25%.
On what amount of money, roughly?
It depends on the vehicle price and how much.
A few million. I mean, I don't know what the value of all the vehicles that we have is. So
the example I looked at was a $65,000 vehicle. So it came out to, I want to say it was like $330 a month. So,
but I mean, overall, the total interest cost that we might see, and then how variable is that? Does that make sense?
Yeah. I don't know. I'd have to look at the agreement to know exactly what that states.
Would it be significant, or?
No, it's a small portion of the vehicle, because typically also we're not keeping the vehicles for a long time. Usually they're traded out every few years, but that's taken into account with all the costs that we analyzed. So overall, we're still better off than we would have been.
You take it into account.
Yeah.
All right.
Mr. Coyne?
So Ryan, am I understanding that the bottom line, if we don't do business with Enterprise at all, is 2.9, and if we do, it's 2.8, unless there's an interest rate spike and the rates go up? Or am I not understanding the global situation correctly?
Sorry, can you ask that one more time?
You said if we just do it ourselves, it's 2.9, and if we do business with Enterprise, it's 2.8 across all departments, all vehicles?
Yes, for just the purchasing or leasing of the vehicles, if you were to compare those, yes. And then on top of that, we have the fuel and maintenance savings.
Okay, so out the door, are we spending more or less to do business with Enterprise under this contract?
We are spending less.
Cool.
So, as a question, or I guess two things stand out to me. One is, if your parks, maybe you're not thrilled. If your public works, you're happy. So why would you look like the biggest savings came out of would benefit public works? Just curious, why not just do public works?
So Enterprise would still manage the public works vehicles as far as when they get upgraded. So Enterprise is always looking for when they have an algorithm that figures out when the best time to sell a vehicle is based on all kinds of different criteria. So, so they're still included in this, and their vehicles will be managed. With parks, from what I understand, having conversations with parks, is that they're happy about the upgrade. There is also the financial impact, and so that's why I'd mentioned that we would look to transfer money from contingency to parks to make up for that. And that would cover the impact, so they're not having to decrease other services or materials to have to pay for the contract.
And so then my other question I would have is, at times, let's say things go recession, you might extend replacement length on vehicles to get through that. If you do this, that takes away that ability, correct? Because it's essentially a subscription at this point, or or could you then, is it by the number of, just by the cars that you do, or you've essentially got a fixed amount of cars you're going to do?
So we still actually have flexibility with that. Number one, on the types of vehicles that we lease, and also on when we lease them. So it's a general guidance from them on when we should do it, but it's not set in stone. And so if we wanted to push back the period of time that we would replace vehicles, we are allowed to do that.
Okay. Mr. Clark?
So can you go back to where you show the different departments? Because I want to go back to a question that the mayor was asking. Yeah, so I think what mayor's asking is, looking at this chart, we see a ton of savings by going with Public Works on enterprise, but we don't see savings in the other major departments like facilities or parks. So why couldn't we just bifurcate this and do just Public Works here and capitalize on that savings and not do parks and facilities the same way we're not doing police?
Well, Public Works has newer vehicles, and so it wouldn't make as much sense to replace the vehicles in the very near future. So I don't know that we'd want to just do Public Works.
I guess maybe I'm misreading this, but what I see this saying is, if we go with enterprise, it's only going to cost us $400,000-ish, whereas we're expecting an estimate of like $1.7 million for Public Works vehicle replacement costs. So
I apologize. I think I mislabeled the one in red, and it should be more of 5-year average city cost rather than estimated. So I can understand the confusion now. So I guess what I meant to put there was that over an average 5-year period of time, we would be spending in Public Works a little over $1.6 million. However, this year, or in this 5-year period of time, with enterprise, we would actually spend a little under $400,000.
So are we not seeing savings over 5 years with enterprise? I mean, sorry, are we not seeing that significant of savings with enterprise over 5 years, or? Because I could be totally misreading this, Ryan, but I'm looking at this chart going like, that is a slam dunk. Where enterprise, why they're going to eat $1 million, more than $1 million of our cost, let's have it. Let's, let them take that on. And so that just doesn't make sense on its surface, that we are so, I don't want to say this because this sounds really bad, but it's like we're so mismanaging our vehicles, but enterprise can do it for $1 million less than us over the next 5 years. Like, I don't believe that's what you're trying to say, and that's why I don't think I'm getting what you're trying to tell me out of this chart.
Okay, let me say this in a better way, I think. Over the next 5 years, if we were to not utilize enterprise in Public Works, we would estimate to spend a little under $500,000. Sorry, I'm fumbling this a little bit.
The charts are pretty, though. So
no, like I said, I mislabeled the chart. So okay. If we were to utilize enterprise, we will spend just under $500,000 over the next 5 years in Public Works. In a typical 5-year period of time, we would spend about $1.7 million. So by moving to enterprise, there's not a huge impact to Public Works because we weren't going to replace those vehicles anyways. I don't know if that was any better way of saying it.
Can we just back up for a minute and talk about why we're looking at this in the first place? Because we've been talking about this for a while, and then just reaffirm what the total staff recommendation is on this and why?
Sure. So Enterprise has come to us several times over the last 7 years since I've been here. In talking with the city manager, we looked into this, and it was number one about looking into if there's cost effectiveness, number two, the safety factor of it. So as we analyze the cost effectiveness of it, as unclear as this chart is, that there's savings in some departments, there's not savings in other departments, but overall, we're better off. The maintenance costs will go down, the fuel costs will go down, and the vehicles will be more safe. So the overall staff recommendation has been to pursue this and proceed with it.
Other questions? So the only thing that I get stuck with is let's call it a wash on an average 5-year period. This particular 5-year period is in a negative, considering how little Public Works will spend in this 5 years. Or did I say that? Did I say it I might have said it backwards there, but by the way, if you guys don't need this answer, that's fine. It is a struggle to see the advantage of this other than newer cars right now, and maybe easier. And certainly fuel standards go up with that, and maybe maintenance costs go down, but I'm struggling to see. It's hard for me to see a significant benefit out of this, but I don't have a vote unless you guys time. Mr. Keating.
Is there any significant savings we're going to get from maintenance personnel costs or anything like that? I mean, is this going to affect the number of employees?
I don't know about affecting the number of employees, but with lower maintenance costs, since we do have our own fleet services, we would see savings there. So we'd have to see a reduction in personnel to be able to see savings, which I'm not sure if that would happen or not.
Is there any reason we couldn't table this for another month or just get a better understanding of it? I'm not honestly seeing the great benefit that we're getting from this.
If that's council's will, we're not in a hurry to do it.
Let's just do that. We're going to be talking in circles for another hour if we keep going. So, if I may, Mayor.
Yeah, but I think tables are weird.
Well, it'd be
I mean, not that it's not a good
continue to a date certain.
It's a little, yeah.
Well, I am looking out for other
Yes.
people.
Thank you, Kevin.
Yes, other people might have places
just
to
a
be.
second, I've got a little. Oh, Garrett, did you have something you wanted to say?
I did. I support tabling the motion or continue it to a date certain.
So is the second meeting in November acceptable?
You know, even if it's packed, we can always redo that if we're not in a hurry. So
How about I move it to a date certain as set by the mayor and council president, council
I
leadership.
don't know if that's legit.
So
Is that legit?
the nice thing about this, it's not a land use thing that we need to renotice. So if you want to continue to a date uncertain and we can put it back on an agenda later, that works just fine. Continuing to a date certain is really important when we've got land use notices. So.
Okay, I move to continue to a date uncertain to be determined by city manager.
Okay.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second on that. I don't want to just stifle debate, but I think Wendy, go ahead and call the roll.
Kevin Stein,
Yes.
Kevin Keating,
Yes.
Nick Card,
Yes.
Mike Kurlinger,
Yes.
Garrett West,
Yes.
Jessica Ayers,
Yes.
John Quinn,
Yes.
and Zach Smith.
Yes.
We have 8 yes.
All right. Okay, so we are on 80.3.
Thank you, Your Honor. The reason why we're all here tonight, Council Bill 2025-88, the resolution approving and adopting the current investment policy for the city of Medford.
He might have to. He's getting his steps in. I think they want a staff report, Ryan. I'm just kidding. That being said, if there's any questions or you do need a staff report, I do believe this is fairly a formality. Mr. Curlinger.
This bylaw needs to be reviewed, reaffirmed by the council annually.
That is correct, and my understanding is the only change is the date on the investment policy.
Is the date correct?
You know, I haven't double-checked it, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say yes.
All right, Mr. Card.
I move to approve Resolution 2025-88.
Second.
All right. Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, can you call the roll, please, Winnie?
Yes. Your microphone.
Mike Curlinger,
Yes.
Kevin Keating,
Yes.
Zach Smith,
Yes.
Jessica Ayers,
Yes.
Garrett West,
Yes.
Kevin Stein,
Yes.
and John Quinn.
Yes.
We have 8 yes.
All right, thank you. That motion carries. We're on to public hearings, but before beginning this public hearing, the public hearings, I would like to remind everyone that the rules of decorum previously outlined are still applicable, and violation may result in your removal. This evening, we have 2 land use quasi-judicial hearings and 1 legislative hearing. If you would like to speak during the hearing, please complete a blue public comment form to be called forward. Comments for administrative or legislative hearings are limited to 4 minutes per individual, group, or organization. However, comments for quasi-judicial hearings are limited to a total of 30 minutes for applicants and/or their representatives, and a 5-minute rebuttal time may be requested. Appellants and/or their representatives are limited to a total of 30 minutes, and if the applicant is not the appellant, they will also be allowed a total of 30 minutes. All their participants will be limited to 4 minutes. Quasi-judicial hearings have specific requirements which City Attorney Eric Minton will outline before the hearing begins. 90.1.
Thank you, Your Honor. Item 90.1 is Council Bill 2025-84. This was continued from October 1st, 2025. It is an ordinance vacating Belknap Road located between Garfield Street and Center Drive, and then east of Center Drive to the terminus of subject Belknap Road right-of-way. The subject rights-of-way are within a regional commercial zoning district. This is land use quasi-judicial. I also just want to note that there is an updated legal description from what was in the published agenda packet. No substantive changes unless you like reading legal descriptions. And I want to explain the rules that govern this hearing. Before the hearing begins, city staff will give a report. The report will list the criteria that govern the city's decision. After the staff report, the hearing will be opened for other speakers. The applicant will speak first and may ask for rebuttal time. Following the applicant, any other interested person will be allowed to speak. Before the hearing is closed, anyone who needs more time to present evidence must ask for more time. If you ask, the hearing will be continued or the record will be kept open, and you'll have at least 7 days to present additional written evidence. Any testimony, argument, or evidence you give must relate to the criteria listed in the staff report or other criteria in the comprehensive plan or land use regulations that you believe apply to the decision. If you fail to raise an issue or do not give the council sufficient information so that the council and any party can respond, you will not be able to appeal that issue to the Land Use Board of Appeals. If you do not raise constitutional or other issues about any proposed condition with specificity so that the council can respond to that issue, you'll not be able to bring a court action for damages. Thank you.
And again, since this is land use quasi-judicial, before we begin, does anyone have conflict of interest or ex parte contacts to report?
Mayor, this is Garrett West. I have been alerted that I have a potential conflict of interest, and so I will abstain from this hearing.
Perfect. I would ask you to leave the room, as is typical when a conflict occurs. Anyone else? We have staff report, please.
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. Good evening, councilors. I am Kelly Aiken with your Planning Department. I have a relatively brief report for you this evening for the Belknap Road vacation. And just wanted to let you know Jay Harlan joins us this evening representing the applicant. Okay. All right. I don't know what happened.
It's because of Zoom. Try it again now. There you go.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. So let's see. See, I'm already off my groove. So as City Attorney Minton mentioned, we received new legal exhibits. We received those on Monday. They were sent to you yesterday afternoon. This item was continued from the last meeting because of the legal descriptions that needed to be corrected. So we corrected the ordinance, and I'll talk about the corrected language in a moment. And we did incorporate these new exhibits as Exhibit A and B to the ordinance, and also included the vicinity map as Exhibit C. So those 3 items will be included and attached to the ordinance. We also included these in the council report as Exhibit M. So as we always usually start out with the approval criteria, are found in Land Development Code Section 10.228. They have been reviewed and analyzed in your staff report and have been found to be either satisfied or not applicable. In this case, the criterion B does not apply. This was initiated by the City Council, so the 3rd criterion applies, points us to Oregon Revised Statute 271.130. And those criteria have also been analyzed and have been found to be either satisfied or not applicable. And finally, before I get to the meat of the matter, the Planning Commission did hold a public hearing on this matter on September the 11th and forwarded a favorable recommendation. They are a recommending body to you, and council is the approving authority under the code. So the request before you this evening is to vacate the unimproved Belknap Road. It's a paper street. It's shown in 2 different pieces, all in order to preserve right-of-way for Center Drive. If we vacated all of it, then we'd have to have Center Drive vacated back. It doesn't make a lot of sense. The right-of-way is about 50 feet wide, with the west side of Center Drive being about 585 feet long and the east side being about 310 feet. The total area being requested to be vacated is under an acre. Taking a look at the surrounding area, Garfield Street's to the north, Center Drive dead ends into the right-of-way, and then we have the 5 to the east and the 99 to the west. Many thanks to Google for these street view photos. This is from Center Drive looking west up Belknap. You can see a couple things. You can see the KFC, you can see Harry and David in the far background, and then you can see the PP&L lines, their transmission facility. They have a substation just to the west. And same looking to the east. So this is not the first time we've addressed Belknap Road. In 2017, a portion of Belknap was vacated to accommodate the construction of the KFC at the corner of Garfield and Center. At the time, the applicant requested that the entire right-of-way be vacated, but the property owner adjacent to the south objected at the time, so only the area shown on this map was vacated to accommodate that construction. So what's left is 50 feet of Belknap Road. A question we always seem to get is what happens to the right-of-way when it's abandoned. Under the statute, the right-of-way goes back to where it came from. In this particular case, usually we'll see kind of a 50-50 split. In this case, it's 40 feet go to the north and 10 feet go to the south. The applicant has explained that quite thoroughly in his findings. I'm very glad he did. So why the rush, you might ask? The Planning Commission approved this subdivision for CEG Holdings last September 2024, so a little over a year ago. As I understand it, we have some pending property transactions that are dependent on this action, so we want to move it along. And as part of that subdivision, there was a pedestrian pathway that was required as a condition of approval, shown here in red, and I don't know if we can really tell there, it crosses the area that's going to be vacated. So we did include language in the ordinance that preserves a 10-foot wide pedestrian access easement through, as well as a public utility easement for all of those transmission lines that we saw earlier. Returning then again to the criteria, that first criterion regarding compliance with the comprehensive plan. The comprehensive plan is actually silent on right-of-way vacations. We consider that to be satisfied. The second criterion doesn't apply, but the third does. It points us over again to ORS 271. This requires notice. There were actually 4 notices of public hearing issued for this in June, July, and then 2 in August. The council initiated the vacation on July the 2nd. Via resolution 2025-59. No action can be taken before the hearing date. Council hearing was initially set for August, and it's been continued at the applicant's request, and of course, no action has yet been taken. No action can be taken if a majority of owners object. No objections have been received at this point. And finally, the applicant is the abutting owner, and no significant fiscal impacts are anticipated. So with that, both Planning Commission and staff recommend approval. I'm happy to take questions.
All right, thank you. And I will make one note, as I was having so much fun making my joke about Garrett. I did have a conversation with the applicant's attorney just about the timing of this. I have no conflict of interest or actually any pending vote, but I just wanted to declare that.
Kelly, I'm just curious, did you say that the subdivision was approved in 2024?
Yes.
Why did it take so long to get here?
You mean the vacation? We'll have to ask the applicant that question, but the subdivision, I know that they're working on public improvement plans now, so it just takes time to get through all the technical work for subdivisions.
What's the need for the pedestrian walkway?
It's actually, I don't know if I kept the slide in here, it's part of the transportation system plan. There's a plan, let's see if I kept it in. There it is. Up in the circle, the red dashed line is a shared use path. So it's part of your comprehensive plan.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Yep.
I'll have to find this picture. This is a cool picture.
Great. Other questions? Mr. Quinn?
Hey, Kelly.
Hello.
What's the subdivision? It got approved after I was off planning. What are they planning to put in?
It's a commercial subdivision, so we haven't seen, let me go backwards again.
I figured commercial, but I didn't know to what end.
Yeah, we haven't seen, I don't know that we've seen development yet. We've heard rumblings. Mr. Harlan may be better able to answer that question than me.
I always enjoy rumbling at Jay.
All right, other questions? Seeing none. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
I will open the public hearing. And at this point, the applicant may speak to this first, or their representative.
Good evening, councilors. For the record, Jay Harlan with CSA Planning with offices at 44 and 97 Brown Ridge. We're the agents for CEG Holdings, LLC. And clarifying a little minor technical point that Kelly mentioned. She mentioned the prior vacation that was objected to by the property owner to the south. To be clear, CEG Holdings bought that land since then, so we were not the ones who opposed that vacation. So, oh, Kelly, can you go back to the one that shows the layout of the project?
The subdivision?
Yeah. You had it up and then it went away. There we go. Thank you. So the status of the project is, if you've been down to any of those things down there, basically water's in, sewer's in, storm drain is pretty much mostly in, and so the remaining is probably next week they're going to pour curb and then be paving if we get a weather window after that. So that's the status of the subdivision. Sort of the reason why it takes the amount of time that it takes is for this particular one, it's like there's a lot of technical things going on to work out how the driveway to the in the public improvement plans, how the driveway that serves the Nash property to the northeast gets relocated to make everything work right, and so figuring out exactly how the right-of-way was going to work there, because as Kelly mentioned, you're vacating Belknap, but then retaining the right-of-way for Center Drive, so Center Drive can be extended per the plans. And there was a fair bit of design details that had to be worked out there, and so that's sort of why it takes the amount of time that it takes. At any rate, at this point, it doesn't. It's from a street standpoint, it has essentially no utility because your access precluded when the interchange went in. You're not allowed. You can't have a street connect to Garfield in that case unless you want to have 40 ODOT employees show up at and complain, and a lot of ODOT DOJ lawyers. So it's unusable there, and then to the east, you can see it's at an angle, so it's like would have never been ideal to have a street with that acute of an angle, right? And so as a result of this, the driveway will get straightened out, come in at a 90, and then you can see on the plan, which isn't a street because it doesn't need to be, but as part of the project, the Nash property owners have worked with CEG property owners, and the storm drainage for the CEG property is on the Nash property, and in exchange for that, the CEG ownership is granting an easement for that Nash property that's sort of down gradient so that they have vehicular access kind of at the driveway there that you see. So, it ended up all kind of working out. And so this is one of the last pieces before we can, essentially this is the last piece before we can submit final plat, because when we go in for final plat, we need to show that the right-of-way has been vacated so that all the lots are the acres that they'll actually be. So that's the overview of it, and I'm happy to answer any questions that the council has.
Mr. Kerner?
The section in gray that we're looking at on this map on the top left, that's Belknap. That's the road that doesn't exist.
Correct. It's the paper street. Yep, and it goes away everything but Center Drive going straight through.
And did you comment that the approach is the angle that Center Drive is coming in being adjusted? Because right now Center Drive comes in pretty steep angle and then is curving around for access to that shopping center.
Correct. In order to get everything at 90s, then there's a curve there on Center Drive to get it to go through the CEG property in a logical way, so it's stubbed to a place where you might someday be able to get it through, which is in your transportation system plan. It's a local street. There's no dedicated funding for local streets, and there are little lots down there, so that's a money thing, but that's a council problem.
Thanks.
But yeah, so then as part of that, then that sort of, for lack of a better term, the swoop-dee driveway there that goes to all that stuff, right? That gets squared off and then it comes in at a 90 to the center line of Center Drive. So I think it'll be just a little more for driver expectations going forward. It's going to, I think, be a little more logical than what's there now. The other thing that, who knows if this will happen, but it makes this possible, which is Road Credit Union owns the parcel 3, and I think when this is done, I expect Road Credit Union will reach out to the KFC people and see if there's a way that they can work out a land trade to do some property line adjusting, which you can't do while the right-of-way is there, that would maybe make the KFC parking lot a little more regular shaped, and then that would also allow them to potentially move their driveway down and get more off-street stacking for their drive-through, which can be an issue down there. So that's, I think, probably, other than it's a requirement for the final plat for CG, in the real world, don't know if that will happen, but I think there will be a conversation. And in the real world, if that gets done, that's probably the single biggest benefit of vacating this.
Okay, so I got Kevin, then Nick.
What's going to be built there?
Well, there is we have one parcel under contract right now, and I believe there's a representative for the entity that has that under contract who's going to testify after me. But
I have to
whether
wait.
it gets built or not, I don't know.
I have to wait. The moment of
yes,
truth
well, CEG. Well, I don't want to speak for them. CEG just has an agreement to sell them a lot.
So
we don't have any control over whether they actually build anything.
Too over my skis, but let's just, that would not be criteria for approval or denial, just so we're all clear.
I'm just a curious party.
Mr. Card?
So you discussed some of the land swaps. I mean, does the pedestrian easement, the fact that that is still retained, does that interrupt that ability by having that easement there?
No, because that's on the east side, and that's to the east and goes to the east, right? And the land swapping that would make sense to do is all on the west side of Center Drive.
Yeah, thank you.
It's an excellent question, but yeah.
Okay, other questions? Thank you.
Thanks.
Would you like to reserve rebuttal time, or you got it just stacked? Did anyone commit? No, no one did. I'm sorry, sir. Could you fill out a comment card?
I brought my own pen because I heard that your pens aren't very good.
All right, well, I'll let
I
it go this
recommend
one.
looking into that next budget cycle. It could come out of the savings from the enterprise deal.
Might look at BIC lease program, Ryan.
Matt Brinkley, Green Top Research Development. And I'm here tonight to speak on behalf of my client who's interested in one of these parcels. And they're currently under contract to purchase the parcel and would like to be able to proceed with that purchase. And that can't happen until all of this stuff gets taken care of. So here to speak in support of the vacation, which probably should have happened in 2017. It made a lot of sense back then. It still makes sense. So I would hope that you would approve the vacation tonight. And with that, if you have any questions for me, I'm glad to.
Mr. Stein,
maybe
do you have a
answer.
question?
So I represent the Medford Food Co-op.
Thank you.
Which is not criteria.
That is not
As
criteria.
you, as former member of the Planning Commission, astutely pointed out.
All right. Any other questions for this testifier? Thank you, Matt.
Thanks.
All right. I don't think anyone filled out a card, but just throwing it out there in case you want to come up and talk about it. Okay. I'm going to close the public hearing. And if there's questions for staff, you could do that, or we'll take a motion. Mr. Card.
Move to approve Council Bill 2025-84.
Second.
So that was Mr. Curlinger, second. Great. Any discussion? Winnie, would you call the roll, please?
Nick Card.
Yes.
Mike Curlinger.
Yes.
Kevin Keating.
Yes.
Jessica Ayers.
Yes.
Kevin Stein.
Yes.
Zach Smith.
Yes.
And John Quinn.
Yes.
We have 7 yes.
All right. That passes 90.2.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Mr. West can re-enter the, we'll just say conversation this time.
Yeah.
I can't go to that well again.
All right, 90.2 is Council Bill 2025-89, an ordinance approving a minor amendment to the general land use plan map of the Medford Comprehensive Plan by changing the land use designation of 3 parcels totaling approximately 4.62 acres located south of the intersection of West Main Street and Lozier Lane from urban high-density residential to service commercial.
Great.
This is also land use quasi-judicial. The same rules I read before apply.
And again, does anyone have any conflicts of interest or ex parte contact to report? All right. We have staff report, please.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Carla Palladino with your Planning Department. The proposal this evening is for a minor comprehensive plan map change from urban high-density residential to service commercial for 3 parcels. This project was filed in conjunction with the zone change from MFR 30 to service commercial professional office. The Planning Commission did approve that zone change contingent on this GLUP change this evening. So just in terms of a little bit of background, the city has a 2-map system. So we have a general land use plan map on the left, a zoning map on the right. The general land use plan really represents kind of the overarching kind of current and future land use patterns within the city based on the needs. So it kind of gives you a larger kind of category of residential uses, commercial uses, industrial uses, and then it kind of identifies where those are within the city and where we would need them. The zoning map then gets a little bit more granular in that it assigns zoning districts specifically to those general land use plan designations. So for example, we have urban high density residential, which is our current GLUP designation this evening. We have 2 zoning districts that apply or basically coincide with that GLUP designation. So typically, applicants will come in if for some reason the property doesn't have the correct GLUP or zone, then the applications are filed, and so that change is what's before you this evening. So in terms of just the process, the general land use plan change, well, thank you so much, appreciate that. So the general, we better speed it up. Okay, let's go. So the general land use plan change is a type 4, which means that it goes to the Planning Commission first for recommendation and City Council for decision. Zone changes are type 3s. that is solely a planning commission decision. City council would only see that on appeal. So when applications come in concurrently, such as this application, we send both applications to planning commission. They made a recommendation on the general land use plan designation that's before you this evening, and then he made a final decision on the zone change. The zone change is obviously contingent on that GLUP change being approved. So hopefully that helps set the stage. The applicant this evening is La Clinica. They're the contract purchaser of record for the properties, and the agent is Jay Harlan with CSA Planning. So minor comprehensive plan criteria are found in the comprehensive plan. There are 7. These have been addressed in the council report, are found to be satisfied or not applicable, and really just kind of providing kind of that overarching kind of policy decision about is it a good idea to change from urban high density to this service commercial. As I had mentioned, the Planning Commission did make a recommendation at their September 25th hearing, recommending approval, and this evening we're hoping a decision for you, from all of you, excuse me. So in terms of the project summary, the project is located in southwest Medford. It's 3 vacant parcels. The net acres is 4.62 acres. The current GLUP designation, as I mentioned, is urban high density residential. Also, as I mentioned, the zoning has been approved from MFR 30 to the Service Commercial Professional Office. There are no current overlays. So some of you, maybe Councilor Stein remembers that these properties have gone through a GLUP and zone change 2 other times since then. So since 2007, it's gone from urban residential to urban medium to urban high, and now we're going to commercial. So we've run the gamut of GLUP designations for this property. In terms of just, again, kind of how this works, we go from one color and one type of use to another. So urban high density to the service commercial, from orange to pink. Councilor West had pointed out that, it looked like there's going to be some kind of split zoning happening. If you can see the map on our GIS is just a little off, and so this will only apply to those 3 parcels. In addition, just trying to give a sense of kind of what's permitted, so the MFR 20, MFR 30, as part of the urban high density, those allowed uses would be things like multifamily residential units, childcare homes, home occupations, retirement facilities, things that are more residential in nature. The service commercial GLUP, which permits that Service Commercial Professional Office, allows also multifamily residential, but also includes things like retail trade, such as department stores, florists. It includes banks, insurance offices, real estate offices, hotels, personal services like barber and beauty shops, as well as health services such as doctors' offices, dentists, home health care, things like that. So the proposed use of the property, if changed to the service commercial, La Clinica would like to open another facility there that would help the west side have additional medical, dental, behavioral health, and a pharmacy. So in terms of just surrounding designations, everything mostly to the north is commercial already. Thunderbird is that larger piece on the north. There is a nursery that is in urban residential, but they're clearly probably a mix of commercial and residential. The orange is, again, that urban high density, and then surrounding to the west and south is just urban residential. This is just a view from Google showing you kind of the site. It's currently vacant. We have overhead power lines along Lozier. Lozier was reconstructed, I think, back about 10 years ago, and so we have kind of curb gutter. That Planter Street is just begging for some trees in it with the development, so hopefully this will be a great spot for La Clinica. In terms of findings, again, we find that those criteria are satisfied, but just to give you a sense of some of the information, and sorry, there's some extra words up here, but in terms of conversion from urban high density to commercial, we don't think that this is going to impact our usable residential land. Our housing capacity analysis did show that we have over 50 acres surplus of this designation. In addition, you've seen and heard that we have multiple commercial sites around the city where multifamily development is happening, and so it's really, that commercial use is maybe being, in some cases, being used for multifamily instead of employment type uses. And in addition to what the findings from the applicant said, that these uses for medical facility are rare in West Medford, and so this would be something that would help create jobs and provide for those services. In terms of public facilities, there are sewer, water, and existing storm drain facilities along Lozier Lane that can accommodate future development. There is access kind of in the middle of those 3 parcels from Lozier Lane. As I mentioned, Lozier Lane was upgraded about a decade ago. There was a traffic impact analysis provided. All intersections studied were shown to meet the city's level of service standard for the future year. And the zone change condition did include that there would be a modification to the signal at Lozier and Stewart to add the FYA PPLT, which Councilor Curlinger had asked about. And so that is the flashing yellow arrow protected permissive left turn. And so that's just a shot of that intersection. Again, if you're in the left turn lane, you could either go on a on a green arrow, or at some point it'll turn flashing yellow and you can go when there's no traffic coming at you. In terms of agency public comments, we did receive comments from Public Works Engineering, Medford Water Commission, the Fire Department, and Rogue Valley Sewer Services, really just indicating that they are able to provide services and plans and kind of the detailed information as development occurs. At the Planning Commission hearing, we did have a representative from La Clinica attend, and no other public testimony was provided. So with that, Planning Commission first. They held their hearing on September 25th. They did approve the zone change, as I mentioned. They also recommended approval of this GLUP change, 5-0. Staff would recommend you approve the ordinance. I'd be happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions? Yeah.
If for some reason La Clinica didn't go through with this, would a mixed-use development be allowed here as well?
Yes.
Commercial and residential?
Yes.
Okay.
So is the intent for them to take up their entire parcel, or are they going to chop it off and make it something else?
My understanding is that they're going to use the parcels. I think they have plans for maybe like a phase development. So I don't think they're going to parcel it off, but that might be a question for Mr. Harlan.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then is there, I'm going to assume that there's really no issues here, but, you know, what if we did end up in some situation where it's like, okay, great, we've rezoned it for kind of the intention that they're going to do this one thing, and then something else, you know, something falls through, right? Is there any way to like protect the city from something like that? Because, you know, when you're looking at, you know, high density residential and turning that into something else, to commercial land, like that gives me a little heartburn, as longtime viewers would see. And so that's kind of always like the fear, right? Like the worst case scenario is this goes away and then it becomes some commercial thing that, you know, is not as acceptable as a high value clinic like this. I'm not saying any particular things. There's lots of things that can go in commercial that in this neighborhood probably wouldn't be great, but you know, these kind of services, you know, would be beneficial.
Well, we do have a long list of permitted uses within the service commercial professional office zone. So if there's something in there you don't like, that is possible. I don't believe that we've ever done like, well, we may have, I don't know.
There was
like where you would restrict something.
I mean, there was one time, we're going back to the Stone Ages, but there was one time Jackal put a deed restriction that it couldn't be a gas station. So I remember that very vividly because it was turning something into commercial land, and then we literally put a little restriction that it couldn't be a gas station. So I know it's possible.
It's possible.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I'm not saying that it hasn't happened in the past.
Before your time.
But I am not a huge fan of putting deed restrictions on the use for a general land use plan amendment. This is a high-level governing document and is not, typically we don't want to blur those lines, so I haven't fully researched the idea, but frankly, it gives me the willies.
I guess for color, I think that was a zone change on appeal. That's what reminds me. Any rate. Other questions? No. All right.
Councilor Keating?
Sorry. Yes.
I think just to be extra clear, to answer his question is if we change this to a commercial zoning, we are, whether by intent or circumstance, saying we're okay with any potential use that fits within that new GLUB.
That's within our code, yes.
Yes.
I think Councilor Keating.
Go ahead, I was going to make a motion.
What's that?
I was just going to make a motion.
We need
I
to,
will
we need
give
to,
you first dibs
yeah.
in just like 5 minutes, though. Okay, I will open the public hearing. Thank you, Carla.
Thank you, Mayor.
You're about to get a win here, so you better hurry up. No, just kidding. Actually, he have a totally different motion. I have no idea.
Good evening, councilors. For the record, again, my name is Jay Harlan with CSA Planning at 4497 Brown Ridge. We do represent La Clinica, who is under contract on the property and requesting this plan amendment to implement the zone change that the Planning Commission approved to allow their medical office project to move forward. Just a quick little anecdote about it. The getting ready for the Planning Commission meeting, we started looking on Google Maps, and one of the employees in my office started looking, and she's like, I can't find a dental office that's west of Riverside. So that is a pretty interesting, I think, geography thing. I am going to speak to a couple of the questions that were asked about. Yeah, this is a policy choice. I don't know that I would go so far that it gives me the willies, but I definitely don't like it any more than Mr. Mitten does, as far as like line iteming out uses from a zone. But what I would say is this is a pretty appropriate place to do commercial, and especially service commercial. It does not allow as wide a range of uses as your regional commercial or your community commercial or heavy commercial zone. So it is, and in fact, the comprehensive plan is very specific that this use is compatible with residential, being next to residential. So there's transit nearby, there's shopping nearby, there's the kind of things that you want. It's on a higher order street. So those are the kinds of areas that at times make sense to be commercial. And as we put in our findings and the staff addressed also, there's been a lot of commercial, some of which I would consider pretty good market commercial land that has been developed with very high density housing. I mean, I think that's good. I think that's a good policy choice of the city, but you also have land to do commercial things. And I think that more likely than not, La Clinica is going to be able to raise the money and do their thing and provide some good employment and a valuable service to the neighborhood. I don't see it as a major policy risk that it might be something else. And that specifically, I would point out, one of the reasons a main reason we went to service commercial request as a transition from the commercial at Thunderbird to the residential to the south. So with that, I would request the council approve it, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Mr. Stein?
I'm gaining more conservatism in my land use policy as I'm aging here. I talked to Raul like 2 weeks ago, and I made a joke to him. I had no idea this was coming up, but I made a joke to Raul. I was like, "Oh man, I haven't seen you at the council lately. You haven't been turning any high density residential into commercial land." And then here you got to take the one this time around. But usually that's why I get to see him.
I got La Clinica, like, please.
Yeah. So you say you have it under contract, so obviously that means that someone else owns the land, and as soon as we do this, then they can execute?
Yeah, I mean, their agreement, as these are done like this, if you have an intended use of a property, you're going to set it up, do all your due diligence, which La Clinica has been doing a great amount of, but you're not going to close until the color on the map is changed, because otherwise you're buying something that isn't what you want to use it for.
Okay, and then so I was just saying, so over the course of time, the Clinica is going to use this entire parcel for?
That is the intent from their like overall organizational planning.
Okay,
yes.
All right, great, thank you.
Other questions? Thank you.
Thanks.
Did anyone complete a public comment form? Seeing none? Oh, we have a blue form coming up. Yeah, verify, is it legible? Did she use her own writing device?
Good evening, Mayor and Council members. My name is Courtney Maximowitz. I'm the Chief Operations Officer for La Clinica. I'm new to the region and really excited about this opportunity. This new center will respond to a lot of community needs. It expands access for us, like was mentioned earlier, to our integrated medical, behavioral health, dental, and pharmacy services in an area that is historically underserved for care needs. It also strengthens our workforce pipeline by preparing the next generation of healthcare professionals, and also increases opportunities to create new jobs and bring some new economic opportunities in that case. It also puts us in a position at La Clinica to navigate the coming landscape with some additional resiliency and sustainability, and so I just wanted to offer support of this zone change. yeah, thank you for consideration.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Oh, did you have something, Mr. Kerlinger? Okay.
I think any concern that you're hearing from up here, I don't want to speak for everybody, is about potential unintended consequences. I don't think anybody doubts that La Clinica's presence there would be good.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
We have other volunteers to speak. Come on up and introduce yourself.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. I will fill out my public comment form in a second. My name is Marta Torrensay, and I live on the 500 block of West Jackson Street. Initially, I was not intending to speak today, but I was very moved by the testimony of the North Holly resident. I think we as residents of the city need to speak up when there are great projects happening in our community. I am, as a resident of West Medford, in support of this project as a neighbor. I'm also biased because La Clinica is my primary care provider. It's going to bring an essential service to a side of town, as Courtney just mentioned, desperately needs it. And of course, I hope eventually it doesn't become a mini large box store on that particular 4-acre parcel. But what's being proposed today is absolutely essential. La Clinica is also an employer of choice here in the Valley, and I know that through my work interactions with the healthcare industry here locally. And just because something, an entity is not a traded sector, manufacturer, or another kind of a exporter of goods and services out of the region, doesn't mean it's not good for economic development. I do see this as an economic development project because it's complementing with essential services what we have going on in the city of Medford. Thank you so much for your consideration, and as a neighbor, I'm fully in support of this. Thank you.
Thank you. We have another one willing to speak?
Yeah, EJ McManus. I'm not a neighbor of the proposed location, but I did want to just advocate to consider the zone change, not necessarily force this potential new owner, but similar to the other testimony, I think objectively, if you're looking at something to integrate with the community, I think any type of owner-operator to consider this potential parcel would be an advantageous opportunity for the community, as I think the representative agent that was notifying that, this idea of allowing a use that would better serve the community, especially with other uses within that neighborhood, would be an advantageous no matter who the end user is. So just wanted to add that. And maybe to also be very transparent, I do serve on the planning commission. I wasn't present for that, but I would have supported the change. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, seeing no further testimony, I'll close the public hearing. Any questions for staff or ready for a motion? Mr. Stein.
I move to approve Council Bill 2025, TAC 89.
Oh, crud. Can you just hold your breath for a second?
I didn't say anything.
Perfect. Thank you all. Mr. Keating.
Just wanted to see if I can get a second on this one. I would like to move to approve ordinance 2025-89 as presented.
Second.
There we go. Okay, Kevin. I'm glad you got the Kevins, both of you. Discussion? All right. Winnie, will you call the roll?
Kevin Keating,
Yes.
Kevin Stein,
Yes.
Garrett West,
Yes.
John Quinn,
Yes.
Jessica Ayers,
Yes.
Nick Card,
Yes.
Mike Kerlinger,
Yes.
and Zach Smith.
Yes.
We have 8 yes.
All right, that passes. 90.3, Mr. Minton.
Thank you, Your Honor. 90.3 is Council Bill 2025-83. This was continued first from September 3rd and then from October 1st, 2025. An ordinance approving an amendment to the Medford Comprehensive Plan to adopt the downtown plan and to the neighborhood element of the comprehensive plan.
Okay, great. We had a staff report on this, so it would be preferred if we just jump to questions, but if everybody is requesting a refresher, then we can do that.
I'm ready to vote.
Yeah.
Okay, are there any questions? Yes, Mr. Kurlinger. Okay. If it's discussion or whatever, we can hold. So I have to do the public hearing here. Okay. I don't think we have any questions nor need anything. Would you like to request us to approve the the motion? Can we see the motion?
Yes, please. There it is. The request you approve the ordinance, 25-83.
Okay.
Thank you.
You bet. All right. At this point, I'll open the public hearing. Was there anyone that filled out a comment card? We've lost most of our audience. Anyone like to testify? Okay. Seeing none, I will close the public hearing. Mr. Kurlinger, did you have a question for a comment? Sorry. Discussion. Motion.
I told Michelle if she gave me some more time to read through the rest of it before we voted, I would be the one to make the motion
There
to
we
approve
go.
it. So I move to approve Council Bill 2025-83.
Second.
All right. Moved and seconded. Would you like to speak to your motion?
I would. I know a lot of work went into it. I'll reiterate. I was not doubting the quality of the work that was done. I just wanted to make sure I had a slightly better understanding of it. I do have pages of notes and some pages worth of responses that were really beneficial. I think this is a great start. I know we're going to have to get into the nitty-gritty of many other details, but I appreciate the work that went into this and the patience to let me get through it.
Yep. Anyone else? I guess speaking to that as well, I mean, it's somewhat of a unconventional way to get here, but I certainly appreciate the fact of anybody that wants to take the time to make sure that they're fully informed and get it nailed. I mean, well done. So, okay, seeing no other discussion, when do you call the roll?
Mike Kurlinger,
Yes.
Kevin Stein.
Yes.
Garrett West,
Yes.
Jessica Ayers,
Yes.
Kevin Keating,
Yep.
Nick Card,
Yes.
John Quinn,
Yes.
and Zach Smith.
Yes.
We have 8 yes.
All right, that motion carries. I think it was your compelling presentation, Carla.
Thank you so much.
Moving on to council business, there are a couple of proclamations here, and these are kind of all geared towards concepts of sacrifice and service to others, and pretty kind of speak to me a little bit. So our first doesn't really matter, is Extra Mile Day. So whereas Medford, Oregon is a community which acknowledges that a special vibrancy exists within the entire community when its individual citizens collectively go the extra mile in personal effort, volunteerism, and service. And whereas Medford, Oregon is a community which encourages its citizens to maximize their personal contribution to the community by giving of themselves wholeheartedly and with total effort, commitment, and conviction to their individual ambitions, family, friends, and community. And now, therefore, I, Michael Zarazinski, Mayor of Medford, do hereby proclaim November 1st, 2025 as Extra Mile Day in the city of Medford, and urge everyone in the community to take time on this day to not only go the extra mile in their own life, but to also acknowledge all those who are inspirational in their efforts and commitments to make their organizations, families, community, country, or world a better place. The other proclamation is for Red Ribbon Week. And so whereas communities across America have been plagued by the numerous problems associated with illicit drug use and those that traffic them, and whereas there is hope in winning the war on drugs, and that hope lies in education and drug demand reduction, coupled with the hard work and determination of organizations such as the Young Marines of the Marine Corps League to foster a healthy, drug-free lifestyle. And whereas government and community leaders know that citizen support is one of the most effective tools in the effort to reduce the use of illicit drugs in our communities. And whereas the red ribbon was chosen as a symbol commemorating the work of Enrique Kiki Camarena, a Drug Enforcement Administration agent who was murdered in the line of duty and represents the belief that one person can make a difference. And whereas the Red Ribbon Campaign was established by Congress in 1988 to encourage a drug-free lifestyle and involvement in drug prevention and reduction efforts. Now, therefore, I, Michael Zarazinski, Mayor of Medford, do hereby proclaim October 23rd through 31st as Red Ribbon Week in the city of Medford and encourage all citizens to join in this observance. Mr. Card.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Let's see here. We had a pretty quick council officers meeting. There are 3 items. First item, utility fee increase. Councilor Quinn brought to us some of the concerns he's experienced, as have I and Councilor Ayers, about particularly the paper fee on the bill. We had a discussion for some different options for mitigation. I learned today that we actually have an annual payment option with a discount, so that's one way that you could avoid that paper fee for every bill is an annual option. However, there was some robust discussion about different kinds of alternatives that we could have, because obviously an annual option is a significant cost for some people. And so Mr. Martin is going to be bringing some options to the Budget Stabilization Committee, and so we're going to put the Justice League back together and take a look at that to see if we can come up with some alternatives that make sense both from a cost perspective, so we're being fair with our costs, but also try to minimize the burden for those residents who who are not computer savvy or for which a paper bill works best. Second item, Alba Park cannon. There is a cannon in Alba Park. Well, there was a cannon in Alba Park. It was something that was installed in 1948, but it has become a hazard. It is significantly worn out, and Parks has removed it. However, Parks did want to let everyone know that we will be storing the cannon at the service center for a time, and we would love to see if we could find some local group that would be interested in restoring it. So at this time, there are no funds to restore it, and it is a hazard for us to leave it out, but if we could find some way to restore it, perhaps we could find it a new home. Last item, the Vogel Plaza Chessman. Yeah, we'll put the cannon right here, Rich. We'll give the mayor control so he can point it at... all right, third item, the Vogel Plaza Chessman sculpture. Really sad to me because I think this is one of the coolest pieces of art in Medford, but if anybody's been out to Vogel Plaza, basically anytime ever that chessman has been significantly defaced and damaged. That's particularly the chess pieces are always broken off and stolen. Parks is recommending removal and refurbishment of the statue. After removal, Parks is interested in not reinstalling it at Vogel Plaza and looking at somewhere else. The particular suggestion right now is Howard Memorial Sports Park, but that is in flux. Parks is going to be making an assessment, and they'll come back to us with a recommendation. I think it'll be sad to see Chessman leave downtown, but I do understand the vandalism, which has been significant. And perhaps there's another piece of art that we can do that is going to be less vandalism prone in Vogel Plaza. That concludes the council officers meeting. Does anyone have any questions about the content of the officers meeting? Kevin.
In addition to recommending the cannon come in here, I'm going to recommend Air Guitar Man in Vogel Plaza in order to minimize the ability to steal materials.
So they can't steal that. The air guitar might go missing, though, you know. If you're right. Wow. All right. Any committee or commission reports? Jess.
I don't really have one, but I wanted to say that last Saturday I was asked to participate in a check presentation at Golden Rule Reentry, where Spectrum gave them $50,000 and donated a day of volunteerism to build a classroom and do some other improvements there. I had a speaking engagement and a nice tour, and I got to see kind of what some of our funds have gone to, and it was a great experience. So I just want to share that.
Thank you. Any other reports, committee, commission, or council action? John?
It was a pretty straightforward RVSS meeting today. We had our stormwater report, which contained parts that amaze me. It may or may not amaze you, but we had an E. coli problem in Wagner Creek down in Talent, and our stormwater people were able to trace the flow of the stormwater, get the DNA from the E. coli, see if it came from human or animals, and figure out probably where it was coming from DNA. It's an amazing thing what they can do, and RVSS's engineers continue to amaze me, and I thought I'd share that amazement.
Thank you, John. Zach.
I attended the parking committee, and they unanimously voted to recommend having 2-hour parking downtown instead of 1-hour parking. That was it.
Yeah, I'll clap to that. Just so everyone knows, if you haven't seen the memo, that is within the purview of the Public Works Director to make that change. Dan sent us a memo. He is proceeding with that change based on the recommendation of the Parking Committee. So 2-hour parking is coming to downtown. Or rather, 1-hour parking is leaving downtown. Any other committee or commission reports? I attended VIC. We had our Vision Implementation Committee meeting a couple weeks ago, and we approved our new schedule of presentations. I cannot remember. I apologize if I've given you guys an update on. Oh no, we voted on a bunch of the changes we did with VIC, and so we are beginning to prepare for next year, 2026, being sort of a proper reporting and collecting year for VIC. As we gear into that, we're going to get some information from staff during our next meeting in December, which is going to be the report that will come back to council to give us a status, a formalized status. So we'll get a proper status update for where the 2040 plan is, so we can take action on that in January as we reflect on what council goals are going to be and stuff for the new year. And then we will hopefully have Vic in a really good position to be able to work through with a lot of our partners to make sure that we have a very robust report to present to council in the beginning of 2027. And with that, back to you, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you. Staff reports. Mr. Field, do you have anything for us?
Yes, just briefly. A couple weeks ago, we were talking about the improvements to the Children's Museum. There's been a little snag in the process for making some improvements there. We were notified by the State Historic Preservation Officer that they have some concerns, so that project's delayed a little bit. We'll have more updates for you shortly, but that's a little bit of a hiccup in that process.
Okay, thank you. Any questions about that? Great. All right. Anything else for the good of the order then? Yes, Mr. Curlinger.
If I can just comment real briefly on the parking thing that Nick just brought up. The downtown plan had a lot of commentary on parking. I have several notes on parking downtown. There's been a point of discussion with some businesses. I don't want to give the impression that, hey, we're changing 1 hour to 2 hour and all is said and done. I do understand this may be an ongoing conversation, but we're doing something relatively quickly to try to help out. I think that's important.
No, you bet. You bet. Yeah, just if there's anything I've seen go back and forth, it's.
What do you mean we've never changed parking duration?
Yeah. Mr. Quinn, do you have something?
Yeah, I didn't have, it wasn't a committee or commission, but it was a couple of activities I thought I'd share. As first of all, as Mr. Field mentioned, we attended the turf war soccer game between the police and fire, and it was very well attended, very popular, and a lot of fun. Everyone was very into it, and I rooted for neither side because I don't want to not have fire or police response if I need it. But it was great fun, and I'm glad we do it. The second thing that I wanted to share, some months back, Commissioner Smith and I, or Councilor Smith and I, went to the Pitch Latino Medford competition, and that was actually very impressive. It was at the Copper Plank. I would say 40 people, 50 people, something like that. 5 excellent presentations, and our local coffee house, Cafe Mestiza, won in Medford, which allowed them to go to the regional competition in Portland, which I attended last week. The OMSI auditorium was at capacity 300, packed, sold out. And there were 10 people vying for the award, which ended up being $11,000. And our young ladies from Cafe Mestiza in Medford won. So a Medford team beat the Portland teams and the other teams and won. And I commend all of you to go and congratulate them and buy some Café de Olla in, it's on West McAndrews, just west of Columbus, in Ward 3. And they are both delightful young ladies, and I commend your attention to that. I also, after the 10 speakers completed, but before Cafe Mestizo was picked, in possibly a Jedi mind trick, I was allowed to speak on behalf of Medford before the vote, and got to address 300 entrepreneurs and tell them about Medford, and gave out probably half my business cards and had a lot of people interested both before and after in learning about Medford. That the consensus was, yeah, we know about Medford, but we never really thought about it. We're really glad you talked to us about it. And this was not a movie theater. These are 300 humans with probably 200, 250 businesses between them. And we've already gotten responses both from the Portland event and the Medford event. We've already, as we know, gotten interest with respect to opening commercial businesses down here in Medford. So the investment's happening, and I think it went really well, and it was fun, and they're very, very nice.
Kevin?
No, thank you for that report. I did see that they won. I went there the other day. So when I was a kid, longtime Medford residents will know that building was actually Action Video over there next to the Minute Market. Obviously looks much different, and I told the employee it was Action Video, and she was in her 20s, and she had no idea what I was talking about, which is fine.
She's never rented a video.
Well, why would you rent videos? Yeah, what is this?
They had the little tags that you...
Yes, little green tags, and then if you rented a video, you could shoot a basket and you get a free rental. Yeah. They also had this little area in the back that had the, I did not go back there, but I knew it existed. So, on a different note, so I was in Portland last week for the League of Oregon Cities event, and I've been going there since I first got on council. I really encourage other people to go. It's really fun to meet people that are dealing with similar issues, just usually on a smaller scale, right? Like I talked for a good length with the mayor of Lapine, which is over next to Bend, so similar issues, but the scale is much smaller. But good time. It's kind of weird. I talked to the Ashland City councilors, not here, but when I go to League of Oregon Cities event, I go and talk to people and talk to Eric Swanson, the city manager of Phoenix. Never talked to him here, but when we're 4 hours away, then we, chit chat for a half hour. So one little thing I'll mention is just of interest, and especially as that gentleman came and talked about his experience, on the Holly Street. And, there's obviously a lot of talk going in Portland, and I went and ran a marathon on Sunday. I'll make sure I got to name check that. The things that people say about whatever cities, and there's always a little bit of truth to it. Okay, there's mostly some truth to it, right? I didn't see any burning buildings, but there are some concerns. Wherever you go, we have concerns here in Medford. Again, the scale is going to be different than in some of these bigger cities. And some things are a little bit out there sometimes. As I see, going a little bit outside bounds, but when I'm seeing the comments about like what we're trying to do with the ballot measure, I see a lot of complaints out there, and there's some validity to them and not some validity to others. And all we can do is have our end of communication, right? We can put out all the things that we want to about the good things we do, and in a course of a 2 hour or 2.5 hour span, I think we're doing some good things for the city. Is it enough? Probably not. Is there better ways to do it? Well, probably. But there's a lot of effort and compassion and the things that we do, and the 500 something employees that work here, and there's a lot of people that are doing good work, and providing services in different ways. So overall, it's a good place to live. It's never going to be perfect, but it's always always important to strive a little bit more. And sometimes when you see those negative comments, or maybe you're talking to someone, have those discussions about there's really some good things happening here. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Kevin. I think that's about it, except for your initials were you at OMSI?
Yeah.
Okay. I was struggling with that. Okay, well,
Didn't I say that?
you said it in an interesting way that it took me a little while to figure that out.
That's how you spell OMSI.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. All right, with that said, we are adjourned at 8:24. I think there's a Mura meeting.
Mr. Chairman, what time would you like us here?
8:30. and gentlemen, the October 15, 2025 meeting of the Medford Urban Renewal Agency will now come to order at time 8:31. Winnie, may we have roll call?
Jessica Ayers. Here. Nick Card.
Here.
Kevin Keating. Mike Kurlinger.
Here with blown eardrums.
John Quinn. You're not up there. Oh. Zach Smith.
Here.
Kevin Stein.
Here.
Garrett West. He's here.
Here, sorry, having mute problems.
And Michael Zarasinski.
Here.
We have 8 present.
Hey, tell him to turn his camera back on.
Is it not working?
We want to see Garrett.
I do.
My camera is on.
Hey, we can see Garrett now. All right, approval correction of the September 3rd, 2025 special meeting minutes. Any changes? A hand has been raised by Mr. Kurlinger. You have the floor.
Did the no get changed to a
Yes,
yes?
it did.
A no has been changed to a yes. Anything else on the minutes? Seeing none, stand as approved. Oral requested communications. Anyone sign up for oral requested communications?
Oh, sorry, no.
Did anyone sign up to talk?
No, they did not.
No one signed up to talk. All right. No one here wants to talk. Consent calendar, none. Public hearings, none. Resolution 25, TAC 5. Mr. Mitten.
Thank you, Chair. 70.1 is Resolution 2025-005, a resolution ratifying a grant and loan agreement between the Medford Urban Renewal Agency, or MURA, or M-U-R-A, and Living Waters Rogue Valley for seismic retrofit of 360 East Jackson Street.
Okay, is there anyone that needs a staff report? Seeing none. Is there a motion?
Wait. I don't want a staff report, but can we find out what the terms are?
The
Are there
terms,
specific questions for Mr. Weiss?
the terms
it's right
are,
in front of my face.
the terms are as the board directed. Half of the money is a grant, half the money is a non-interest bearing, non-amortizing loan to do on sale.
That's all I wanted to know. Thank
There
you.
you go.
All right, any further questions? Seeing none, motion, Mr. Kurlinger.
Is there a point where the due on sale expires after 10 or 15 or
There is not.
55 years just in perpetuity? Okay.
Any further questions? Motion. Go.
I move to approve Resolution 2025-005.
Second.
Moved, seconded, discussion.
Dude,
Mr. Mayor.
just gonna point out, I did abstain from the original decision to move forward with this, citing some maybe concerns in regard to the, I don't know, the funding of a nonprofit in that manner. At any rate, this though, as a resolution moving forward with the boards already essentially approved moving forward, I see no issue with the terms as provided, and we'll be supporting the motion.
Thank you. Anyone else? Mr. Kurlinger.
It's been previously disclosed, I am a member of the church. Eric, is there any reason I should abstain from this? I don't stand to financially benefit from this decision.
Your membership in this church is not a conflict of interest under Oregon law. It is your choice.
Great. Anything else? Mr. Keating.
I'm gonna wait till after the motion's made. Sorry.
Motion is on the table.
It's on the table. I'm gonna be voting against it just simply because I think it should all be a forgivable loan, and I'm just really not in support of making a grant for a non-profit organization in this case.
Understood. Anyone else? Mr. Kurlinger again.
I also just want to point out there had been some, like, through the grapevine concern that Living Waters had intent to sell. I've double checked with our leadership, and he said, no, that was a misunderstanding. There's no intent for them to sell the building anytime soon.
Last call. Seeing none, Winnie, please call the roll.
Jessica Ayers.
Yes.
Nick Card.
Yes.
Michael Zarasinski.
Yes.
Kevin Stein.
Yes.
John Quinn.
Yes.
Mike Kurlinger.
Yes.
Kevin Keating.
No.
Garrett West.
Yes.
And Zach Smith.
Yes.
We have 8 yes and 1 no.
Great, thank you. Any board business? Seeing none. Director and staff reports. Mr. Weiss.
I have 3 quick project updates for you. I know the evening is long, so I'll make these short as possible. First one concerns the Central Avenue property. Back in our last conversation about this, the board requested that we get an updated market appraisal of the property, which we have received. And I'll talk about that in just a minute. The other thing that we have underway is we're about to finish a contract amendment with ORW as part of the city's facilities and master plan to take a look at the warehouse for its adaptability and utility for potential city services. As you will recall, back in July, we got the LOI from Stewardship Development for a proposal for 100 units of senior housing. So we've had that for 3 months now, and now that we have the appraisal information that you wanted, one of the key questions is, are we going to move into, are you going to authorize entering into negotiations with them? First of all, let me just summarize that the market value, we did it on 2 bases. One is, what is the entirety of the assemblage worth, which is $2.15 million, and we have about $1.825 in acquisition cost in that site. But we also valued it as if partitioned, and the idea that the warehouse would be carved off on its own flag lot with the frontage, which is unbuilt, being available for development. That is a hypothetical in terms of the particular organization of that space. We did put the flagpole down at the south end because there is an easement that already encumbers that into the property and would provide for a driveway to the back, as well as probably to serve the housing development on the front, if that's what we do with the front parcel. As petitioned, it actually came out unusually that the 2 are worth more as separate pieces than they are as one. Typically, it's the whole is greater than the sum of its parts, but not in this case. So I'm seeking board direction this evening on a couple of things. One is, does the board want to initiate negotiation with Stewardship Development based on the LOI that they presented in July? That would come in the form of working through some kind of option agreement with them that would come back to you at a future board meeting, probably in November if we were to start right away, at which time you could decide whether or not you want to do it. And then the second one is long-term planning as far as the disposition of the warehouse. So I would appreciate your input and direction on those 2 items.
Thank you. Discussion. Mr. Quinn.
Eric, can you remind us of the terms of that proposal? I don't have them right in the front of my mind.
Sure. Stewardship Development is interested in developing 100 units of senior housing using OHCS lift funds and low-income housing tax credits, the 4% tax credit. So it's very similar to the deal that Rubicon Edelin originally proposed for the Dolores Huerta. The difference being that they are asking for a donation of the land and no additional funds from Mura. With our deal with Rubicon Edelin, we were going to give them an additional $4.2 million in cash as local match to leverage those external funds. Senior housing has a pretty high profile right now at OHCS, and in fact, Representative Marsh was able to get a bill through this past legislative session allocating an additional $24 million specifically for senior housing, which is a new pot of money at OHCS that Stewardship would pursue as another piece of their financing package. The other thing about their proposal is that under the new process at OHCS, the ORCA process, Stewardship is willing to come completely out of pocket on all the pre-development costs to have a shovel-ready project. Funding awards are based on project readiness, and so they are willing to come out of pocket $800,000-900,000 before they have a commitment from OHCS for the funding.
And two follow-up questions. One, the property, if built, it wouldn't be a nonprofit that's not subject to property tax. We'd be getting property tax revenue from it?
Well, no, because we have, the previous council adopted the nonprofit corporation low-income housing tax, NCLIPD,
all right,
property tax exemption, which is a provision that annually a low-income housing project for regulated affordable housing can apply for property tax exemption on an ongoing basis as part of controlling their operating costs to preserve lower rents, that they don't have to pass those costs on to the tenants.
And the second question is, I think you touched on this, but remind us, what's our cost basis in this?
About 1.8 million on the entire assemblage.
So if we sell the warehouse property for 1.2, we're essentially kicking in 6 of basis.
Yes.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? What is, what's the time period that they're looking for, or the time period that you're looking for to enter into a DDA? In terms of how long would they have exclusivity to this?
Okay, well, so there are some sort of critical timing issues in this. Since the ORCA process in OACS has gone to a first ready, first served process, it's a non-competitive process, so it's rolling application. So they want to get started as soon as possible to get in the queue for this funding source. It isn't like there's, that the funding opens on January 15th and everybody has to have their applications in. So they're ready to rock and roll as soon as we would enter into some kind of option agreement if they, if you so wish, so they have evidence of site control. So that's kind of a critical factor to get in line as quickly as possible. So it's a pretty straightforward transaction. It would be an option, very similar to what we did with Rubicon Edeland. They wouldn't exercise their option until they got the money awarded next year. But that would probably be late summer, early fall for a final funding award, depending on the volume of applications that OACS has to process. It would certainly be an option that would extend through the end of next year, December 31.
I will just, I saw Mr. Cardy had your hand up. I personally just have issues going over the same funding that we went last time that failed over and over and over again, and having the property just hoping to get some other statewide funds. And who knows what's happening with statewide funds in the future, right? Like, they're going to have to go through a whole bunch of stuff to keep the lights on. So I personally have concerns about a project that needs this kind of funding to happen, and the potential of just having it, under contract, but with nothing happening. There's better ways to put that, but I think you get where I'm coming from. Mr. Card.
What is the size of the property that they're looking at, the portion of the property that they're looking at?
The front portion?
Yes.
Well, what we did here for the purposes of the appraisal, we just kind of carved it into two things. We would probably negotiate a specific boundary and a specific area. The stuff in blue in this image is 1.84 acres.
How does that compare to the Beatty assemblage?
To the what?
To the Beatty Street assemblage.
Oh, that's, Beatty Street is about 25,000 square feet. It's half an acre.
Okay. I just, I know it's not the same size, but that's just such a better place to put housing.
Any further questions? Mr. Keating.
Yeah, Harry, I think I recall this being appraised at 600 some odd thousand before this latest appraisal. I don't know if that's correct, but does this change the calculus at all in terms of the amount of money that we're...
Okay, well, we have 1.8 million sunk capital in the acquisition of the assemblage. The reappraisal at this point is upwards of 2.1 to 2.2 million dollars.
Right.
So we've had ostensible market gain of $400,000. The previous numbers that I gave you about 1.2 and 6, based on our basis, was based on how we acquired the property. We bought the warehouse for 1.25. We bought the rest of the land for 550. So I was just apportioning the basis, not actual market value.
Okay.
Mr. Quinn.
So it seems the question is, do we enter into negotiations and lock up what is 600,000 in basis and 960 in market value of the overall property for 14 months, hoping they get the funding and build something that we like, and front the cash to do the study, all of which sounds very nice and somewhat distinguishable from the prior project. So we're losing a 14 months worth of the ability to sell part, but not all, of the parcel in exchange for that possibility of for $600,000 getting a structure that's probably at the end of the day, what, $2-3 million worth?
The project?
Yeah, or more.
Way more.
Oh.
Probably got
yeah,
way
yeah,
more than
A
that.
lot more than that.
How much lot? You forget, I'm a
For
DA,
100
you're the real
units,
estate man.
100 units, at least $28 million.
That divided by 600,000 seems like a decent ROI.
Oh, yeah, no, it's good leverage. Absolutely.
So I would support giving them the option, tying it up for 14 months and seeing where it takes us. We're not really losing much except time, and we're losing no time with respect to the back part of the property.
Well, and I think the other thing about the back part of the property, because we're studying it in part for potential municipal use, it's going to take quite amount of time to figure out what the city would actually do with that warehouse and the land. So we have plenty of time to continue to work on the warehouse for an alternative use while allowing them to pursue this, this possible funding for affordable housing on the front.
By the way, my bad estimate illustrated how valuable it is that all 8 or 9 of us have different, or 10 of us have different backgrounds. When we talk about the jail next, I'll tell you about that.
Okay.
Mr. Kurlinger.
I echo some of the concern. I think this is a super bad spot for residential. As Harry has pointed out at least once before, people who are willing to spend a few $1 million disagree with us. I agree with your concern that they're going after the same pot of money that already hasn't been obtained. They are, however, willing to spend a lot more to get to development out of pocket to get to a point where they can probably get that money. If it's going with the Eclipse, then it's not increasing the property tax value that's coming back into the city, but that's not actually our intended purpose. Our intended purpose is to prevent degradation, not necessarily increase the taxes coming in. So all of that to say, I think there's some really good reasons why this is a good idea. I think there's some really good reasons why this isn't the best idea. But we also don't have people like lining up outside for public comment to say they'd like to do something with this property. So I think it may be worth moving forward with the person who's engaged with us and wants to do something. Because have we put feelers out there publicly to say, hey, who wants to buy 1.6 whatever acres on Central with the warehouse?
As a general offer
Or
to
who
the
wants to
market?
develop it? I mean, yeah, it's not, I don't think it's a secret that Mura owns this.
No, the only, I have not yet been approached by a car wash, but I bet we would. The only market interest I've ever received in the 6 years that we've owned this property was for a used car lot and a yard to sell prefabricated sheds.
I'm less excited about both of those options than what we're discussing right now.
And please keep in mind, if you authorize to go ahead and enter into negotiations, this will come back to you in a DDA and option that you will have every opportunity to say yay, nay at the next meeting. But again, it might be my intent to bring it to you in November.
Mr. Card.
I'll just repeat my reservation to housing in this location. I mean, if we want to go forward with a DDA, or, the negotiation of a DDA, so be it. I mean, I think I have low tolerance for putting additional funds into this, and I do think that potentially $2 million of value in this property could be used elsewhere. I don't know. The failures with Rubicon Eadlin and this property give me cold feet about this type of development for this location. So, anyway, with that being said, let's go forward with the negotiation and we'll look at a DDA and I'll give you an opinion then.
Okay, is there a motion? Mr. Mayor.
I move that the Mura board directs are you the director?
Project specialist.
The project specialist to initiate negotiation with stewardship development of a DDA with option for the proposed development.
Second.
Moved and seconded. So for discussion, I'll just repeat that I went through this before. I understand hey, it's just 14 months, but it's never just 14 months, because if they don't get it in 14 months, it's like, oh, just give them another year. Just give them another year. Just give them another year. I'll also say that, yes, we don't have people, coming in and saying, but my understanding is we never put an RFP out either, right? Right?
Put in an RFQ for affordable housing.
But we didn't
That's how
do
we got
an
rid of
RFP or RFQ or whatever in terms of, hey, we have this parcel, give me your best shot, right? So the public availability is more of, you just kind of know about it in some ways, or you contact the city, or whatever means it is a little less public than other ways of getting lots of different interest in it. So based on that, I mean, I totally get the people supporting it. I think people can understand why I have hesitation and will be voting no. Both are completely understandable, but with that, is there any further discussion before a vote? We'll go to Mr. Curlinger first.
So I totally understand where you're coming from on both. I'm going to support this motion for two reasons. One is we're just allowing him to move forward. We're not locking anything up right now.
Sure.
And they might come back with terms that say, we want an automatic extension of another 12 months if it doesn't happen, blah, 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 at which point we can say, not too much. And I think the key, I wasn't around for most of the Rubicon Eadlin, except for the unceremonious ending. Sure. But my understanding is that we were expected to be putting in a fair amount in pre-development before the fund, while they were going for funds, whereas it seems that the developer in this case is footing all of that expense and is willing to put it in right now. So I do see some differences between what they're discussing versus what was agreed to with the previous developer. So for those two reasons, I'm kind of on the same page as you, but I think it's worth feeling this out a little bit further.
Totally understand. Mr. Mayor.
So if based on my concerns of a nonprofit getting Mura funds from the last one, this seems like a complete flip, because it is. However, one of the things that we have, there's say three, improve economic vitality of a neighborhood is a general term when, look, we're not increasing any tax base by doing this. However, we are fulfilling the mission of blight reduction. And then clearly there's a pretty good tie for housing with our mission as well. So it at least clicks two boxes that I go with. If the developer's willing to take the risk and feels that the site is adequate for that purpose, we are a little bit different than the previous one. We are still maintaining quite a bit of value in the property with this. It just feels kind of easy to go, take at least a first shot. And people's patience are worn thin. It's got to be on a short leash, then so be it. But they sure seem like they're trying to step up and feel like they've got a product they can make work. So I say go for it.
Anything else? I think those are totally valid. I don't mind the project at all. The lift, literally hearing about the lift funds again, just taken aback. Right? Like, oh no, here we go all over again. Maybe we'll get lucky this time. I mean, there is a lot of good things from the developer that are, putting money up front is definitely a good faith action in terms of trying to get this project done. So that is totally respected, but the lift funding is just too much for my blood. So hearing nothing else, can we please get roll?
Michael Zarazinski,
Yes.
John Quinn,
Yes.
Zach Smith,
Yes.
Jessica Ayers,
Yes.
Kevin Keating,
Yes.
Nick Card,
Yes.
Mike Curlinger,
Yes.
Kevin Stein,
No.
and Garrett West.
Yes.
We have 8 yes and 1 no.
Thank you. That passes. Next up, La Fiesta.
Okay, La Fiesta Market. We have a little bit of a bump in the road with La Fiesta that I will explain to you. First of all, the project has been submitted for building permits. Architect's estimate of cost is $7.772 million. Invitations to bid this project are going out this Friday, and bid opening date is projected for November 7th. So we'll have some more hard numbers by then. So in the course of this going through the building permit process, that's also when we determine SDCs at the city. And here is a summary of the SDCs for this project. Parks from the city, parks, sanitary sewer treatment, sanitary sewer collection, streets, and then Medford water. The number I need to draw your attention to is the street SDC, which is $744,000 for this specialty Mexican grocery store. And that number is based on two factors. One is how many new trips per day are projected to be generated by this new business on the city's infrastructure. And that number of trips times the fee that we charge for SDCs, which is about $500 and change per trip. And that number, the 744, already takes into account any net credit for prior use. Okay, so there are two numbers here. One is 744 is a big number. It's almost 10% of the projected cost of this project. And that has given the developer a little bit of pause to say, whoa, 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 where did that come from? And admittedly, also with my colleagues at Public Works, everybody looked at this number and thought, that seems kind of high for what kind of business this is. So to drill down on this a little bit, the SDC methodology uses something called the ITE Trip Generation Manual, the Institute of Transportation Engineers. And they provide trip generation standards based on national averages for certain kinds of businesses. And you take a business like La Fiesta and you try and find the best match in the manual. Well, the only match in the manual that comes anywhere near it is a supermarket. And the supermarket number, which is a national average, that includes everything from Kroger, Albertsons, regional, full-service supermarkets like H-E-B in Texas and Publix in Florida and Raley's in California. So La Fiesta is not a full-service grocery store, a full-service supermarket. It's a specialty ethnic grocery market. And so we think that it's not a really good fit. Medford Municipal Code, the methodology for determining SDCs, provides for an alternate calculation of the trip generation. And that's done by finding 5 reasonably comparable uses and sized operations and actually going out and measuring their trips per day over a 12-hour period. And then looking at that information to see what is a more, if there is a less number of trips that these kinds of stores generate. So we want to use what already is existing in the municipal code to see if we can come up with a better number than that 1,581 trips that is generating the $750,000 SDC. So we have gone through talking with Kim Parducci at Southern Oregon Transportation Consultants, and she can do a study for about $10,000. Just to put that 1581 in a little bit more context, a trip is any time a car enters a parking lot and when it exits. They're both separate trips, all right? So what that means is that 1,580 is 790 vehicles, new vehicles coming to this site daily. If you wipe out 70 of those, let's say those are employees and delivery trucks and all that, that's 720 vehicles a day. That's 1 a minute from 8 in the morning till 8 at night. So that's the kind of common sense thing that goes, that just seems high for an operation like this, which is why we want to pursue this alternative and see if we can come up with something a little bit more precise based on local comparables. So this is for you. The last time I talked to you, we were going to do a property line adjustment and an economic development grant. We want to get through this information first because that may change the calculus of the entire project. So we will table the PLA and economic development grant until we can get this information to see if that SDC number can be brought down.
Great. Is there a timeline on when we'll get this information back?
We'll be meeting with Public Works, who has to approve the comparables and the design of the study. Once it's approved, it shouldn't take very long to do it. I mean, it's 5 days, setting up cameras at 5 different locations. Picking the right comparables is part of the art of this study. So we're trying to figure out which is the best match. But I haven't talked to Kim about a delivery date, but I would certainly hope to have something by the end of end of November at the latest.
Awesome, thank you. Any other questions about that? Seems pretty straightforward, but Mr. Curlinger.
Yeah, 10,000 you said for the study?
An estimate. That's not a firm quote yet.
Coming from your or coming from?
Coming from Euro.
Mr. Quinn.
Why from Euro? They're the ones who don't want to get the SDCs down.
Well, this is right now I'll tell you that the project's on hold.
Okay.
As a result of these escalated costs. So there's always a risk when you do these studies that you don't get a beneficial reduction. So you're actually coming out of pocket an additional $10,000 and you may not realize the benefit. My suggestion is that whatever the financial package was, we were talking about PLA worth $100,000 and $250,000 in financial economic development. We just take it out of that funding that we were talking about investing in the project to begin with.
So no additional money, we just reallocate some of what we're already putting into the 10?
We can certainly take this study and use the funds that you have already earmarked. You haven't committed them, but you've earmarked them and say, we would contribute some amount of funds to make this project go. So this is a good way to invest that on the front end, especially if it saves $150,000 in SDCs.
Which the city won't be getting. But I get
The
it.
city may not warrant.
Understood, yeah, I mean.
Or the city would not get because the project's not going to happen.
No, I get it. I
it's
mean,
that high.
if we're rating the traffic and equating it to Winco or Fred Meyer, that's silly. It's more maybe a Blackbird at most. But, yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Keating.
Yeah, I just really have a question as to how we've gone this far, not having, a better definition of a small neighborhood market. I mean, I'll be voting in favor of allowing them to do this, but there are numerous markets all over the town that are real small. Something like a new 7-Eleven. There's one on Foothill. They're small.
You'd never want to compare to a convenience store. That's a whole other beast.
Okay, but I mean anything but a supermarket. I just don't understand how that could not be a category for a small.
Well, again, in the ITE manual, there is no category. So the first go-to for Public Works to generate SDCs is to use the manual. If that number doesn't make sense, then you can pursue this alternate, which will study comparables.
Sure, and I'll do that. We've never run into this before? Of like really large fees coming from a...
Well, actually, Kim is doing a study right now on the new Goodwill up on the north end, because they had a pretty high street SDC count as well. And so they're going to do an alternative study for that. This is a fairly new methodology. I think we adopted it in 2024.
Mr. Mitten.
If I can speak to this, so just to make clear, the IT manual is not a City of Medford document. We don't control it. It's from a nationwide organization. And we recognize that it's accurate most of the time, but some of the time it's way off, which is why we have in our code a way that anyone who says those numbers are wonky has some remedy right built into the code. So I recognize the concern you've got about the IT manual, but unless we were to try and recreate it ourselves and come up with every use, I don't know how we get away from using it, because it's
What were
somewhat of a
we
national
doing before
standard.
2024 then?
I would have to research. My understanding is this exact methodology was in 2024, but we used the IT manual before then as well. So it's just the details of the methodology have changed, but I could look into that and circle back.
So just moving along, I think the good thing is that we do have something in our municipal code that allows us to find those things that you're talking about and get an SDC that makes more sense based on the use. All right, any other discussion on this? This is not a voting thing, this is an informational thing, right?
Right. I mean,
Okay. All right, moving on to Beatty Street.
Okay, so finally for Beatty Street, you remember last summer I brought you a proposal from Verna Constanza to do 36 units of rental housing and 3 buildings on the site. That was not something that you all were really excited to do, and some questions were raised about, is there an opportunity at this location to do affordable home ownership rather than affordable rental housing? So I've taken some time to kind of drill into that on some zoning issues as far as how our municipal code treats this site, as well as what are some of the baseline considerations that we have to look at to be able to produce an affordable unit from a construction standpoint, and what does that team actually look like. So Subsequently, I had a meeting with actually Mr. Kurlinger and Mr. West. We toured the site, and Mr. West suggested that we look at kind of a simple way to have fee simple ownership of the land rather than a condo, to avoid the complications of condo. Because if you do condo, we're also in the commercial code. So staying in the residential building code with a townhouse product is a much more effective, affordable strategy for production purposes. So there were some zoning peculiarities about townhouses in the current zoning classification. But they can be overcome. We have a very rigid definition of townhouse in our zoning code. They have to be 20 feet wide. I don't know why, because historically townhouses have been anywhere from 14 to 30 feet wide. So that seems unnecessarily restrictive. But there is a workaround in the code to do pad lots instead of townhouse lots. So this is just an illustration of 12 lots at 20 feet wide and 15 to 17 lots at 16 feet wide. There are density challenges in MFR 30, which is the current residential standard for this. This is commercially zoned property. And I think that's one of the reasons why we don't actually allow townhouses in MFR 30, because you can't actually hit the density requirements to do that. That's where the pad lot makes sense. Anyway, so there are a number of paths forward on the zoning side, and there are a lot of ideas out there about how to assemble a development team to make these available for affordability, working either with Habitat for Humanity as a candidate, another nonprofit developer, but you have to have somebody involved in terms of ownership of land, and most importantly, you need a lender who can do the mortgage lending for the buyer for these low-income purchasers. So my question to you is, if you're really earnest about wanting to pursue home ownership, affordable home ownership on this site, I'd be happy to prepare a much more in-depth and comprehensive presentation to you in study session next month, so that we can really dive into it and get into the weeds about it, to identify the opportunities, the challenges, and what would a solicitation of a development proposal actually look like. But to do that, I also need to be able to do some outreach to potential partners. I'd like to talk to Habitat, I'd like to talk to some other developers, and I don't necessarily want to engage them until you all give direction that, yeah, let's dive into this a little bit more deeply.
Mr. West, you had a discussion on this with Mr. Weiss. Did you have opinions on this?
I would very much like to move forward to get a further presentation from Mr. Weiss. I think this is something we should very closely consider for this site. And I think that potential changes to our code to facilitate further townhomes in the city would be extraordinarily beneficial to the city.
Thank you for your comment. Mr. Kurlinger, did you have opinions? I talked to you because you're the two people referenced that took a look at the site.
No.
Okay, that's fine. Mr. Card.
I agree with everything Garrett said.
Great. Mr. Keating.
Is this something where we would want to restrict it to home ownership as affordable home ownership rather than allowing them to use it for rentals? Or is that something we could do? The idea would be to encourage home ownership, not.
Sounds like we need a study session on this.
Good idea. All right. Yeah, I'm for the study session. Yeah.
We'll talk about that next.
Okay, can we get a motion on table?
Good question.
Do we need a motion?
No, I'm just give direction. Thumbs up.
Okay, thumbs up direction, saying appropriate number of thumbs up direction.
Okay.
That is how we'll go. Okay, that is what we have for director and staff reports. Proposition remarks from board members. Seeing none. Anything else from staff or any other members? Seeing none, we are adjourned. Oh, wait. Oh, sorry. I had to write one thing down. Mr. Quinn reminded me of this a couple weeks ago, and I forgot to put it on the record. So the council, we are Mira, but the council did say that it made good sense for the Mira board to have that $50,000 request come from Mira instead of city council initiative funds. So what I would like to do is I would like to move that we have $50,000 go towards the Historical Society as per their ask to the council.
Second.
Is there any discussion on this? So this was for AC.
Right.
This is for AC units for the Historical Society?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. So this is very last minute. I wrote it down because it just came to my head, and then I looked at it again. So is there any discussion?
This is what we said at the CCIF discussion, so we're just
Yeah.
making it so.
So this is an appropriate thing. It's in the district.
So this is a $50,000 grant to Southern Oregon
Historical Society.
Historical Society for renovation of their building.
Yes, as per the information they provided to City Council for their CCF request. Mr. Curlinger.
And this is completely, there's no like, we're going to take CCIF funds, put them in Muir, combing, then right. Like this is just saying, take some Muir money, give it to them. The council recommended to Muir that we do this.
Yeah.
Which is conveniently us.
Yes. Okay. So it's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Kevin Stein.
Yes.
Nick Card.
Yes.
Kevin Keating.
Yes.
Jessica Ayers.
Yes.
Mike Curlinger.
Yes.
John Quinn.
Yes.
Michael Zarazinski.
Yes.
Garrett West.
Yes.
And Zach Smith.
Yes.
We have 9 yes.
Okay, thank you. Now, we are adjourned at time 9:12.